Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Glad to be here with you guys today. Gonna do another live video today on XRP. No, it's not XRP, but you know the tradition. You know how it goes. Glad to be here with you guys. Please smash that like if you appreciate the intro and some of the research that we're going to get into. Everything you see tag BSV, XLM, Jasmy. Do your own research with Max and our wonderful community. And yeah, we're going to talk about this pullback. Is blast off basically imminent? Of course, there's an investor place report in that regard. So we're going to jump into all of this. And if anything, I think it's going to be pretty cool to share it with you guys. So let's start things off by welcoming you guys. Currently speaking, we are at only 2 likes, really? Huh. Let me see. Let me refresh that. 13 likes. There we go. That's more like 21 people watching. We'll get into the weekend news update. Bring it to you guys here on the Monday. As you guys know, I was going to try to do it on Saturday with you guys, and of course had some interruptions, but it's okay. You guys understand the situation. And yeah, let's go ahead and just start things off by welcoming some of you guys. So I'm going to start off with the first comment. It comes from Tim Shea, who says, "Hey, sprays from far away. Good to see you, Mr. Tim Shea, Mayor Crypto Commissioner in the House, representing the 589th district of the XRP Army and his fellow constituents, Mr. Tim Shea." Thanks for being here, Tim. Brittany's in the house, says, "Happy Monday. Good to see you, Miss Brittany." Boom. John Francis says, "Hey, everybody. He has the meats." Wow. All right. What up, Max? Dog. Algo was going wild today like a roller coaster, man. Elizabeth Warren should be voted out of office, in your opinion. I would agree with that. Yeah, I did want to talk about Algo a few days ago when I saw it starting to do something. That was really cool. All right, let's read another one from John Francis. Hey, to Mr. Spray far away. All right, Richie Rich is in the house. Good to see you, Richie. And same with you, John Francis. Crypto Holmes, Mr. Sooner in the house. But yeah, Crypto Holmes, good to see you again. Rivers in the house. A lot of good people in the house tonight. And we have God Did. Max, my man. Well, thank you. Let's welcome God Did. God did a lot of great things, right? All right. And still is. God is good. I am so thankful and glad to be here with you guys. All right. Bus driver 55. When do we moon? I don't have a crystal ball with that, but you know what? There's a lot of my portfolio that's already mooned. Me and Mr. Elon Musk, this guy right here, Mike Cornwell, have already had a you know what portfolio measuring contest. Yeah, it's an actual thing that we do. May have a blank, I don't know, you know what I mean, that type of thing. It's all in fun and good spirit though. Also want to welcome OG Crypto, Mr. Gangsta. Thank you for the warm wishes and the nice recording you sent me on the DM on X. And I'm glad you liked the urban beat. Thank you for that. I do appreciate that. Guys, please smash the like. Even try to share the show with other people. I know that we got a little bit of a late start. Until things get back to normal, it's going to be kind of spontaneous. Kind of have to play it by ear. As you guys know, we'll probably not have like, you know, Monday through Thursday, Monday through Friday. I'll try. But, you know, that's the way it goes sometimes. But I'm glad you like the urban beat. And I'm going to try to make maybe a slightly extended one just to kind of tweak it out a little bit more to include some other coins other than just Jasmy in that mix. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to make it kind of like an intro / music video. And I've gotten a really good feedback from it. Yeah. All right. You love it? Nice. Well, cool. I'm glad to see positive vibes. You know, Brittany, John Francis, all you guys. I appreciate that. Love the intro. Awesome. Thank you so much. Uncle Thursday, welcome back. Glad to see you like it. Let's see here. Is anyone injector protocol up 25%? I'm not. I don't know if I do it. I won't do it tonight. The one that has really caught my interest and on my radar is Immutable. Okay. Maybe if we are back here tomorrow, you know, we're going to shoot for that. But I just want you guys to expect that. I am also trying to cover some other coins, not getting too crazy with it. But I will state this: Immutable has definitely caught my attention. Don't get me wrong, there's some other good ones like ICP and whatnot. But there's something about Immutable. I'm looking at Immutable from a supply and demand perspective. You already hold immutable. You know where I'm coming from when it comes to this. And then, I'll give you guys more of my thoughts and concerns on the next show. We have a lineup, of course, tonight. Don't want to do a 5-hour show. I'm sure some of you guys don't want a 5-hour show. There's a small majority or minority that likes that, not doing that. But anyway, yeah, Algo came roaring back today. Yeah, it's good stuff, man. So you're Abdul Jawad. Well, welcome back. Change your name so you don't think I left. Okay, I'll try to remember that. Abdul Jawad's always good to see you. I'm still always going to call you Abdul Jawad, because I know you as that. But that's cool, man. I'm glad to have you here. God bless you, Abdul Jawad. Thank you. All right, let's see here. We're going to go further down. HTN is in the house. Glad to have you, HTN. She says, hello, everyone. Good evening. Hi, Max. Hope you're good with all things going. I've come to terms with things and so on, and I don't want to really pull everybody down with the mood. Those who are praying for my dad, thank you for doing that. All right, we're gonna go down and welcome JP, who's in the house. XXI Gaming is also in the house. Good to see you. Good to see you. Who else here is the BSV Maxi? I'm not a Maxi, but I will state this: I have been researching more about BSV, and if anything, I'm trying to load up more for my portfolio. There's a site. Was it BSV Live? I think it is. Well, hold on, let me double check what it is. BSV, the one that Satoshi is. I can't have on the tip of my tongue, but I'm trying to find a good exchange to get it from. Obviously, it's like BSV is kind of hard to get lately. And the last time I got it was when everything was cool with KuCoin, and now it's not. So anyway, all right, yeah, good to see XXI. Do appreciate you, brother. We're gonna get now into the outline of what we have before I read this comment, and it is from Dennis Lill. He says he has some Constellation DAGs, seeing higher trading volumes, low price for token, 3.7 billion supply. Interesting. JP says it's BSV or nothing. I mean, I hear where you're coming from. It's just that I'm also wanting to be more diversified. I'm trying to make money. I made money last time, last bull market, being diversified and so on. But I respect your opinion and so on. It's probably the most impressive tech when I got more into it. Yeah, I talk a lot about quant with Overledger and so on. But I've been becoming more and more impressed with BSV, and of course, it's part of the outline tonight. So before we get into that, we are going to read this. We are diverse, but listen, BSV. Yeah, very, very true. And HTN, I know that you're big into this. I've been extremely disappointed into it in the past with the V1. Basically, it's like, was it? You have your top performers. They're part of your portfolio. That one has literally been my worst performer. I'm literally at the point where, if I break even, I'm out of it. I did see that there was a pump today. I get credit where credit's due, but my portfolio went from basically $3,800 to $4,000. Actually, $4,000 if you count the gas fees. Okay, and I was into it real early. Like a lot of people, should have took profits before the Vegas event back in what was it, 2021. And the way I look at it is, a lot of people are in that situation. Now, there's of course maybe people that you're part of that situation in which you weren't part of V1 and you came in during, like the V2, if you will. A lot of people didn't get wrecked too bad, just part of the whole thing of crypto winter and so on. So if that's you, I can understand where you're coming from. There's other content creators. I think he's a great one because he covers Stellar, he covers XRP, and that is Molt Media, aka Molt Money. There was a time in which the old channel, us and Molt Money, were kind of neck and neck as far as subs and stuff like that. I've always wanted to get him on the show in the past and so on, but I don't know. It is what it is. But he's still bullish on it and so on. I'm not going to talk bad about it because I don't really like to go after and make people feel real bad about their investments and so on. But for me personally, it is leaning towards that. Once it gets to at least break even, and that includes the whole thing of, the gas fees. I might just, wash my hands with it and so on because of that. We used to have a guy that used to come here on the old channel. I don't know what happened to him. Maybe he doesn't know about this channel. His name is Burned by Saitama. You guys know about him and so on. That's just the way it is with me, and the way I look at it and so on. But I know you're a big proponent of it and so on. I hope it does well for you. It could very well do that. Obviously, it was up over 78% earlier today. Hey, awesome. I was happy to see, my tokens got automatically migrated on both wallets that I have. I saw that, it was Coinbase, also, Ishmart, aka Bitmart, automatically did it. So I was like, all right, well, that's good, but $4,000 investment that's worth 100 doesn't look too good, and some people say, well, you could apply it to things like Jasmy. Yeah, true, but it's a little bit different when it comes to Saitama. That was a multi-billion-dollar project, and that's all I'm gonna say about it. That's probably all the coverage I'll talk about Saitama today. Maybe that's bad news for you, but I respect you guys that are still into it. You're gonna have to do what you got to do. For me, it's going to be a power play. It's going to be a power swap. All right, I saw Rick Cogswell up in here. Good to see you, Rick. Appreciate you. And also, obviously, Brian Dowie. Good to see you guys tonight, man. Appreciate you guys being here. We just ticked up to 38, now to 41. Perfect timing for you guys. Let's go ahead and kick it into what you've been waiting for, and that is some news. Now, you have probably been paying attention to the overall crypto market, and if you have been watching as close as myself, Mr. Cornwell, a few of the other guys, you have seen something you're like, what the heck happened? And let me show you what the heck happened. Basically speaking, it is this right here. And if anything, before I get into it, I'm going to use Brian Dowie's comment as a bookmark. All right. So, yes, let's jump into the CMC thing just for a quick moment. It is basically this. And I keep saying this, but here it is. I have it primed already. It's this right here. Okay. So a lot of you guys pay attention to what's going on in CMC. I'll blow this up a little bit more because that's a little small. But basically, if you go to CMC, what stands out is this. Okay. 1.57 trillion. I was on the phone with Mike Cornwell last night, and we literally saw the market, tank from like 1.65 trillion, 1.66, and literally saw, like $4,000 or $5,000 worth of BTC get erased within like 2 minutes. So, whoever was guy obsessed with shorting at that point, wow. Talking about wow. Can you imagine, somebody that did something like on MEXC and, times that by, 20 or something like that, right? Crazy stuff. Okay. So why did all of a sudden vaporize? Well, there's what they call these pullbacks, right? So we went from extreme greed on the fear and greed index to what we have right now. And maybe some other content creators that you watch during your daily shows and so on before you got here, because I realize a lot of you guys watch, morning shows, daily shows. Shout to, our brother across the pond, our mate across the pond, Mr. 2-Bit Crypto and stuff like that, right? But this has all been covered to a degree. Let's get into some other things about the nitty gritty you might not have seen covered. And I'm going to jump over to the one and only Investor Place. Now, this report did come out Saturday. But of course, I wasn't able to be here with you guys Saturday and so on. You guys know the situation. But here's this weekly update. And boy, is it a weekly update. Please smash the like for the show to get out to more of a broader base. Let's get into the nitty gritty of this. And basically, like you see, crypto soar in confirmation of new boom cycle. And we talked about all these boom cycles for a while. Pay attention to these 4-year cycles. Maybe get tired of hearing that. This, of course, was reported December 9th, which was Saturday. And we do know that we saw an exceptional week for Bitcoin and so on, rallying nearly 15% to fresh new 2023 highs and so on. All these things are worth pointing out, but it's not going to be a constant every single day pump. Some people feel as though that's going to happen. There's going to be times in which you will see that happen. I saw it happen last time around, especially with some alts, honorable mention, Shiba Inu. I think I saw like roughly, 12 straight days, stuff like that. Just crazy stuff, right? But, you have to keep in mind the optimism for these ETF approvals, specifically in January, and then the final deadlines when it comes to March, roughly about 7 or 8. There's, of course, these developments, perhaps most importantly, a lot of fear of missing out buying. A lot of people are not going to do more of their own research, and they're going to just jump right into crypto without knowing anything about it and so on. And for us that hold these particular coins and so on, hey, that's good for us. Nobody's really complaining about it. But according to Investor Place, they believe that this week's developments further underscore that we are in the midst of the fourth crypto boom cycle, with further gains ahead in 2024. Now, there's, of course, a small minority of people out there that do believe all this is going to crash and burn and so on, and all this intel data and so on is invalid. Hey, if you're one of them, I respect your opinion, but look at what's being presented before you dismiss it. Look at this for a second. Despite short-term overbought and overextended technical conditions, Bitcoin can and will make a run to, you read that right, $50,000 by January. Now, that would be more of a, a proponent of the thesis of a pullback and then blast off. First, let's cover the price action this week, or last week, I should say. Bitcoin, of course, we talked about 15% up. Ethereum, about roughly 13. Even my portfolio for things like Jasmy, I was like, I don't know, about 6,200, 6,300. I was over $2,000 in profit. I was like, yeah, we're all these fudders, right now. No, they're back in the depths of the sewers and so on, right? They don't want to come out until it's crypto winter or apocalypse and so on. Some of these other coins you guys have, Solana, 20% up. Cardano, I still have a bag of Cardano, overpaid for it by a lot, about 34, maybe 4,000. I have to double check. Overpaid for it. But some of the top gainers, some of the ones you guys are still into, Bonk and so on, 205%. Ordinal, shout out to, Mike Cornwall. I think even Cool Cat's in that, up over 133%. For me, my BTT over 115%. And just to, sorry to say, kind of give a little reminder on this, you're not going to believe how well that sucker's doing. Look at this. It was a little over 200% earlier today. So I've been more than ecstatic about my BTT, right? Went from being not worth very much at all, like roughly, I think like $500 or something like that on my 4K investment, to basically like over 2,400 at one point. Yeah, pullback, but I'm paying close attention to this. And there's something about, just real quick, when we talk about mass adoption, 200 million users, if you haven't seen the video, on BTT. Okay. So that's, again, part of that honorable mention. And getting back into this, 90%, over 90% of the top 100 cryptos, of course, rose this week. That's why so many people put so much emphasis on the top 100. There was ones that used to be part of the top 100, no longer part of that. They're in the top 200. You're even seeing things like Casper, right? CSPR, right on the brink of meeting that threshold of the top 100. But the bottom line is 30% of the top 100 cryptos rose more than 20% this week. 3 top 100 cryptos more than double the week alone. From a price action perspective, this is arguably the strongest week of the year for cryptos, and I couldn't agree more, because when you look more into it, yeah, that's pretty darn valid, to say the least. And just to give you guys some more info in regards to this, in terms of magnitude and breadth of the rally, we have more about this, and we'll show some actual data this time. Well, we always do anyway. You guys know me. I'm not really a TNA guy, but I love the summaries from Investor Place, a premium service. To be sure, the rally has been so fast and furious that it has left Bitcoin with exceptionally extended technical conditions. The RSI index on BTC popped above 80 this week. I saw some of you guys, I didn't have a chance to comment on it. I think it was like on 2-Bit show. He was talking about some of this stuff. But while the moving average convergence divergence line shot more than 500 points above its signal line, BTC also continued to break way above its 2023 uptrend channel and is now running into some major resistance at 45,000. I don't have it available right now, but I saw another chart. This guy did TNA, and he signaled that, hey, yes, this is confirmation of the bull run. Some people Still don't believe that. I don't know why they don't. But look at this for a second on your screen. I'll come out of the frame for a brief moment because I really want to show this to you. 48K looks like the next stop for BTC after a brief break. Of course, we always cite the chart from Bloomberg. And given these conditions, we would not be surprised that the crypto rally to take a, it's going to take a breather here. We're seeing that. And again, they called it, guys. They called it basically on Saturday. And what do we see? We see the breather. That's what I want you guys to take away from this. A little bit more about this. And that is, any breather does happen, will be extremely short-lived. How short? Is it, a few days, a week? I'll state this. Last time around, investor place felt as though it was going to be a few weeks. Look what happened. It was only a few days. So this sort of price action, if you weren't aware, it involves BTC breaking out of a well-defined uptrend channel, cluster super overbought conditions, moving averages, all starting to push up significantly higher. We've seen this. It's exactly the type of price action we saw prior to the parabolic parts of the last two crypto boom cycles. And if anything, instead of just stopping at 69K a BTC with Ethereum at the 5,000 area, investor place is going to get into the whole thing of 100,000 and beyond. I'm with them on this. Now, back in 2020, when all this stuff happened in the last particular cycle, BTC formed a very steady uptrend channel off its, of course, pandemic lows. Then in late 2020, BTC started to break to the upside of the channel with consistently overbought conditions. And of course, here's a representation of this. I'll come out of the frame just for a brief moment on this as well. You do see what's going on here in that regard. Kind of easy to follow, even if you're not the most TNA savvy type person. All right, so basically what happened next? Well, BTC shot from 15K in October 2020 to over $40,000 by January 2021. I remember that because if anything, I came into Dogecoin at 1 penny at the end of January and I saw it literally start to go up the day after, just like my friend was saying. It was a parabolic rally. Meanwhile, back in 2016 to 2017-ish, BTC formed a very steady uptrend channel at the start of the second crypto boom cycle. Then, in May 2017, Bitcoin started to break to the upside of the uptrend channel with consistently overbought conditions. And of course, you see that right there. And of course, we know what happened next, right? Bitcoin shot up from 2,000 to 20,000 just a few months. And you see that on a representation from the Bloomberg chart. In other words, history says that while short-term technical conditions are exceptionally extended, they are the exact sort of conditions we tend to see in the crypto boom cycles. I agree. Most important, the exact type of conditions we tend to see right before parabolic rallies. I'll highlight it for you guys in those boom cycles. As further evidence of this, we can look at BTC's relative strength index, RSI. We are now observed a cluster of super overbought conditions on Bitcoin's RSI in 2023, with 3 episodes of the RSI pushing above 80. I've seen you guys pay attention to some of this stuff. I've seen you guys mention it. That's a rare price action, and it only tends to happen in the midst of boom cycles. Can we raise the roof on that one? Look what it says here. Clusters of extremely overbought conditions on BTC suggest we are in the midst of course, a boom cycle. Yeah, no kidding. Look at that. Going further down, we're also growing increasingly bullish. I'll come back on the frame on this one. Becoming increasingly bullish on the broadening out of the crypto rally. How about you? Do you feel increasingly bullish in regards to that? I think most of you guys feel that way. Some of you guys kind of feel like there's going to be crash and burns. Don't see as much of the, the few guys or groups of people are like, it's crashing down to 12K. But anyway, we noted before that the crypto rally in 2023 has been very Bitcoin dominant. Some people feel as though, well, that means that we're not going to be into a utility run yet. We still have not seen a utility run. It's never happened yet, but it will happen. When does that happen? I don't have a crystal ball, but I still am going to lean towards the end of 2025, and I have my reasons for that. Now, the coverage tonight is not going to be a focus on that. If anything, it is going to talk about a lot of what you see and what we covered tonight. And we're, of course, going to get more into some BSV, Jasmy, Stellar. But in regards to this dominance, this is basically a par for the course when it comes to the first year of a crypto boom cycle. Again, the first year. We're already at the tail end of 2023, entering into 2024. It's noted before, at some point in every prior boom cycle, there was an inflection point right around the halving when the rally meaningfully broadened out, altcoins starting to lead the way. Now, this part, I will give a shout out to Mike Cornwell, Elon Musk. In his opinion, he feels as though we get past, for instance, like a 69K BTC before the halving. And guys, I mean, that's amazing. But you know what else, something? If we're already seeing all this momentum, even with the pullback, and we're not even to 2024, I don't think he's too far off. Combine that with the idea that we haven't had, all these spot ETFs and so on yet. But let's face it, we will, and that will enter in a tremendous amount of money towards contributing towards the overall scheme of things with the overall crypto market. We aren't going to say with confidence that we are at the altcoin inflection point yet, but we will say with confidence that there's observing promising early signals that we could be close to that inflection point, whether you're on board with it or not. Just look at how the holiday rally in cryptos has played out. BTC has surged by over 20%. And for BTC to have anything at that high, that's beyond amazing. We always pay attention, even with just a few percent up for BTC is massive, let alone 20 freaking percent. But it outperformed, or underperformed, I should say, both Solana, Cardano, each who were up 80% in this rally. But let's face it, those are alts, right? On the whole, evidence suggests that cryptos are in the midst of their fourth boom cycle. True. Bitcoin will rally to 50K in the short term. Yeah, I think we see that basically. We could see that by January. I don't know when in January, but I think we could see that. BTC could push above 100,000 within 12 months. So, basically by this time, late 2024, I think that is a realistic thing. Personally, not financial advice. Do what you got to do. This rally is starting to broaden out. Altcoins could soon take the leadership baton from BTC. I agree with that. There's a backdrop to all this in regards to altcoins and altcoin buying. Some of you guys are still buying. Some of you guys realize that part of your portfolio and also your watch list, a lot are now into markup, but not everything. So in reality, it's kind of a combination of accumulation phase and markup phase. And if you've been following all this stuff, you know that is the next phase, markup. So do you still have time to accumulate on certain ones? Absolutely. Your XDCs, your HBARs, your Nixeras, even though Nixera is a lot higher than it was. How about your Stellar XLM? Still a buy? So basically speaking, I will share this little quick update, and that is in regards to Cosmos. A lot of you guys are into Cosmos. Now live in the Noble chain. Devs can go across the Cosmos ecosystem, basically, leverage CCTP, make it easier for users to onboard assets to Cosmos from ETH, Arbitrum, Base, Avalanche, and Optimism. Now, you haven't seen that massive wave of, this happening from ETH, but you do see a lot of indicators of a lot of other devs, like as the saying goes, jumping ship. So that's there. All right. Later on tonight, I will be doing an outline that will be exclusive to Twitter. And I want to state that you will see it at some point later if you follow me on X. We're going to take a brief pause here. The next coverage we'll have is a solid, nice. I took the time to really research this in regards to BSV, and you're not going to want to miss this one. It's going to talk a lot about why I feel as though that these, this whole thing about Craig Wright being granted these patents for blockchain and for smart contract. What is basically the significance of this, and what we'll do for you and me as BSV holders and so on. I'm going to get into some of the nitty gritty of some specific things about that, as well as the particular few patents. There's a bunch, right? He has a whole grocery list of patents, Dr. Craig Wright. But I want us to put some emphasis on a few specific ones. You're going to have to stay tuned for that. If you like the coverage so far, please smash the like. After we get into BSV, of course, there'll be some Stellar and then some Jasmy to finish things off. All right. Currently speaking, we are at, just let me refresh this real quick. We are at 32 likes with 43 people watching. So please smash the like. All right. Let's get into a few more comments. I think I saw some new comments I want to get into. All right. Let's see here. We got JP says, guys, CZ is flushing everyone to pay his $4.3 billion fine. Wake up. That's a good point. Brian Dowie, John only snowed once and didn't stick, right around 0 right now. Oh, must be really cold. All right. Antoine Zim, he says, hi, team. Hey, Antoine, welcome back. There's a dab to you. I want to make an announcement. Henry Brown gifted 1 Maximus Crypto membership. So who was the lucky winner? And the lucky winner is, I did see you had a super chat too, Henry. Thank you for that. It's Dennis Leal was gifted a membership from Henry Brown. All right. So what I want to state real quick is this. I try not to BS you guys when it comes to this. Now, it's a little bit late. As you guys know, I've had a lot of distractions with what's going on with my dad and so on. Very heart-wrenching time, to say the least. Been trying to get through it as much as I can. But what I want to mention to you is I did state that when you became a member, at some point, there would be some exclusive coverage for members only. I have basically decided and gotten the green light from a particular person. I don't think he wants to be mentioned, but I have gotten the green light from him. And this is not a paid shill or anything like that. There is a specific project that I will cover and share with only members. It's of course not going to get a lot of views because we don't have a lot of members. That's beyond the point. You guys have, of course, for the most part, donated and became members because you want to support me. At the same time, this is just a little extra thing I want to share with you guys. There is a couple of you guys that already know about this, and you've done well. And, I am going to do more of a private deep dive on the project. It has been around for a while. It is not a meme coin or anything like that. Solid utility, provides a real use case, answers a real problem. You're going to see some real impressive things about it. Low market cap gem. And you will see it probably within the next few days, possibly tonight. And it'll be exclusive to you guys. I will not be tweeting about it or anything like that, because why would I tweet about it? You know what I mean? But it will be in the exclusive members only area, and you'll see it. If you're a member, only you will have access to that. All right, let's go down to Henry Brown's super chat. But before we do that, I want to recognize Antoine Zim. He says INJ, AVAX are still pumping, insane. Very cool report. Corey Bebe, aka Jasmy not a scammer at school. He says, good evening, everyone. Hello, Max. Thanks for everything. You're welcome. Glad to have you. Always glad to see you, Corey. I really mean that, Thank you. All right. Let's read the super chat from Henry Brown, who is not out of town on Greyhound. He says, support to Max, Tim, and Brian in the house. Thank you so much, Mr. Henry Brown. We do need to catch up sometime, and we will. And I do appreciate your patience with everything. All right, let's read this from John Francis. Algo up 16.5% after being down over 7% early. Very bullish sign. Very true. I mean, when we saw the height of when it was spiked, I think it was like, 25%. That was cool. All right, let's read just a couple more comments. Stats has been ripping. Awesome. Let's read this as well. BJS001. What is the best wallet to hold BSV in? I don't have that current answer right now. I think I asked somebody else that. I saw that Ledger dropped support. Obviously, I got this thing in the mail in regards to Decent wallet. I know, guys, just so many distractions. I just want to do a proper review before I drop in. Hey, here's my referral link. I haven't even tried it out for myself. That would be a shill, right? So my thing is this: I saw 8 to 10 months ago, Decent wallet drop support for BSV, and I'm like, is there any real cold storage? So I might get with Satoshi. Any of you guys that hold it, if you have cold storage, share with the community right now if you like to know about that and so on. But yeah, I don't have, like, for me, I'm going from Ledger to hopefully this Decent wallet that they sent me in the mail. But I would like to put my BSV into cold storage, and I don't know if that's even a thing. Anyway. All right. Yeah, there is CentB. We did talk about CentB, but I was mainly talking. So, I covered it once in regards to CentB, but again, these are ones I haven't had a chance to try out yet. So, all right, let's read this from Corey. He says, Max, I've been hearing quite a bit about S Fund. Would you have any insight to share? I don't have any insight about that yet. There's so many things I need to look into. Tim Shea says speculation or speculative run before the utility. You think? I think so too. S Fund is solid. Gaming will be huge in the cycle. Gala, all these ones. GFAL. GFAL is the one that's really on my radar because of scarcity. I will add at some point. I'm sure Mr. Elon Musk, Mike Corn, will be happy about that because he's into that. Speaking of him, he says ETF front runners. All right, let's read this also from just for the heck of it, Corey Bibe, Jasmy, not the scam. Yes. Antoine Zim, QNT, XRP Algo, XLM, XDC, Jasmy, don't sleep on Casper. I would agree with all that. Real gem. All right. OG Crypto. Hey, how do you give memberships? I don't know how. I don't know how either because, I don't. You know what I mean? Because I guess you could say I'm the creator owner of the channel. So I don't know exactly how that would work. But maybe get with Henry Brown. He could probably tell you how to do that. Yeah, that's my thing. I want to know the recommendations on that. All right, what we're going to do now is jump into the BSV coverage. Let me double check the other screen, make sure I didn't, miss something specifically. All right. All right, let's put up some branding. Don't know why I didn't have this one up earlier anyway. And let's pull up the BSV one. Can't be the one that leans to the side, BTC. You got to get some BSV. You know me. All right, so you want to look at this. See, that's the correct one. That's BSV. Please give me a follow over at DPG Maximus on the X platform, formerly known as Twitter. You also follow our fellow brother, Mr. Will Fix, over at Will Fix 7. Just to give you guys an announcement, I'm fully aware that we haven't done the live shows that we used to do on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Will Fix, obviously, all this stuff going on with my dad, had those interruptions. In the future, we will resume some of that. I have talked to Will a few days ago in that regard. What we plan on doing is changing up the format. It won't be 2 days a week. It'll probably be like only once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. I don't know. But we'll have a little bit better format. It might be more like a Q&A. I don't know, but we're going to do something that's going to be more interactive with the community. And, it won't be like, how this format is. If you're expecting this format, it won't be that format, but it will be a good format that will have good balance for what I can bring to you guys and what he brings also. So shout out to our brother Will. All right. Okay, so look here for a second. We're going to close out some tabs and let's get into the nitty gritty. Basically, this is the BSV segment of the night. Please smash the like. Currently, we are at, let's refresh it one more time, 36 likes with 39 people watching. All right, so here it basically is. Last time I did coverage with you guys, kind of highlight just a little bit about this. And I just want to talk about this for a brief moment. Again, from this guy, Ryoshi. Dr. Craig Wright and Shane have been granted the patent for blockchain for smart contracts. Now, last time you guys tuned in, you're going to be like, well, why mention it again? Again, as a reminder, especially for people that didn't see that information. Look at the quote. It should be noted that the invention is not limited to use with Bitcoin blockchain and alternative blockchain implementations fall within the scope of the invention, but status active anticipated expiration is February 16th of 2037. And of course, references this particular link. We shared it before on that particular Google patent link. Okay. Show some of his pictures. There it is. If you go to Google patents, registry, and automated management method for blockchain and for smart contracts, it's all there, right? So my thing that I want to get more into, and I don't think there's anything wrong with basically doing this and so on, is I want you guys to understand some of the significance in regards to some of this stuff. So you got to keep in mind, okay? Dr. Craig Wright, basically, of N-Chain. Some of you guys know about N-Chain, some of you don't, but him being granted the specific, patent for blockchain and for smart contracts, for you and me and so on, everybody, especially people that don't even hold BSV, right? But I would also say specifically BSV holders, what is the significance of all this, right? Well, keep in mind that Dr. Craig Wright and his company, N-Chain, have been granted, of course, these patents for blockchain and for smart contracts by who? The European Union Patent Office, which is called the EPO. Now, the patent is titled, the specific one that I want to get into, Method and System for Deterministic Key Generation for Blockchain Enforced Contracts. Now, so for some or most of us, this seems Greek. Max, why even mention it? Well, there's a reason. And the reason I want to get into this is while there's a whole grocery list of specific patents that Dr. Craig Wright has invented, you got to keep in mind this specific patent is significant, of course, for a number of reasons. First, let's get into this. It is the first patent to be granted for blockchain enforced, of course, smart contracts, right? This means that N-Chain has and this is the magic moment for you, the exclusive right to use this tech in Europe for a period, of course, of 20 years, hence why you saw that expiration date. Second, the patent covers a number of important features for blockchain and for smart contracts, and they include basically three main things I want to outline for you. And that is, of course, the use of deterministic key generation, like we mentioned, to create unique keys for each smart contract, the use of multi-signature wallets to ensure the security of those smart contracts, and number three, the use of oracles to provide external data to smart contracts. Now, in regards to the whole thing about oracles, we know that this is where you get a lot of the talk of BSV is the best out there when it comes to something that most people don't realize, and that is they can very well be part of your typical cross-border payments up there with the likes of Ripple's XRP, Stellar, and so on. Now, I'm still going to be diversified in those things, and I know there's a lot of BSV maxis out there saying, no, you're wasting your time, go all out BSV and so on. Hey, I understand that, but at the same time, I also want to catch some of these runs in the future and so on. And I also believe that a lot of these are going to be part of the mix. We can agree to disagree. But again, that part of the use of oracles to provide external data to the smart contracts is that, plug, connect to the crazy broader scheme of things of, payments and cross-border payments and so on. Now, let's get back to this for a second. Again, some of my notes and so on. These features are essential for the development of secure and reliable blockchain enforced smart contracts. True. Third, the patents grant is a major validation, of course, of N-Chain's work, specifically Dr. Craig Wright. You have Dr. Ladid, but it's in the field of blockchain tech, and it's also significant in regards to the boost of BSV itself, which, of course, N-Chain, as we know, supports. Now, back to this topic of us, the retail holders and so on. A lot of times we feel like we get left behind. What will it do for BSV holders? I'd be asking that all day long. The patent grant is expected to have a number, of course, of positive benefits for us. First, it will help to drive the development of new and innovative applications for BSV. Now, I always pointed out that, when it comes to, applications or dApps and so on, when we talk about having a thriving ecosystem, that's the pathway forward. It will also help increase security and reliability, of course, of BSV transactions, like I was mentioning before. Third, it will help attract new investors and businesses to the BSV ecosystem. So it's a win all the way for retail, all across the board. Overall, you got to keep in mind the patent grant is a major win for nChain, and also, of course, us as the BSV community. It is a clear sign that nChain itself is a leader in the field of blockchain tech, and that BSV is the future of blockchain. Now, when I went over to the BSV site, I did know some really cool things. Like, you can sign up to be part of the academy. You could take courses, right? And it lets you know how long these courses are and so on. I won't be able to jump into just yet, because in the future, when things become more normalized for me personally, I'll have a lot more time to do that, where I can concentrate more. But it is something that's part of my list to do. I'd love to hear from you guys who are big BSV proponents. Have you already done this? And if so, what have you gathered from it? Do you like the experience? Do you like what you learn? Is it easy to learn? All right, real quick, some details about the specific patent. The patent application was filed on January 24th, 2018, and it was, of course, granted on June 21st of 2023. Again, this is back to the whole topic of what we were mentioning in regards to this deterministic key generation. So basically, the patent number is called EP325719-1B1 if you want to nerd it out. I want to now take you over to this bio from Craig Wright. I'm not going to read all of it, but I want to jump into some specific things about it. So what's impressive to me when I went over here, just jumping more down into it, is this real quick. And sorry, I was doing some work earlier, and I think I brushed up on some pollen from the outside tree. So if you see me kind of scratching a lot, that's what's going on. But yes, CraigWright.net is the site. And jumping down to this, what was so impressive to me is Dr. Wright has more than 25 years experience in the fields of information tech and security. Been a lecturer and researcher in computer science, Charles Sturt University, authored many articles, academic papers, books, conferences, you name it, right? One of the most highly qualified digital forensic practitioners in the world is Dr. Wright. Personally conducted in excess of 1,200 engagements related to IT security for more than 120 Australian and international organizations in the private and government sectors, including 15 Commonwealth states. Dr. Wright has held senior executive positions with companies focused on digital currency, digital forensics, my God, and IT security. Among his positions, he was the vice president of Center for Strategic Cyberspace and Security Science, which is CSCSS. He had a focus on collaborating with government bodies and securing cyber systems. So as you guys know, I've done oh my gosh, like probably hundreds, maybe even 1,000 videos on quant at this point. And with an emphasis on Gilbert Verdian and his background, but let's face it, Verdian tied into not just Australia, but especially, the UK. He was part of the Digital Pound Foundation. We give him credit where credit's due. But notice how some of these big proponents, when it comes to blockchain and DLT, they have some kind of connection to the government at some point. Enter in Dr. Craig Wright. Dr. Wright worked on systems that protected Australian Stock Exchange. He trained Australian government, corporate departments, SCADA security, cyber warfare. My God, cyber defense. Interesting. Even when we do talk about Jasmy, notice that Taro Kono is what? A former defense minister, right? Part of that defense ministry. Kind of crazy how all these guys that know so much about blockchain and DLT have that common thing with them. Maybe it's a coincidence. I don't know. I don't think so. But one of Dr. Wright's early sector focuses was that he helped design the architecture of the first online casino and advised Centribet on security and control systems. Now, I don't talk about the Wink token much, right? It's built on Tron, but for me, two key things I have from Tron, of course, is BTT and Wink. So, some people just call it the Wink token. I always call it Wink. But the reason why I spent like roughly $1,000 on Wink, a couple years ago, was the whole idea of the tokenization of casinos. And if anything, I'm still going to sit on it and so on. It's been a long-term play, but it's interesting to even see somebody like Dr. Craig Wright have the architecture for the world's first online casino. And of course, that's online in Australia. Anyway, many of Dr. Craig Wright's findings and publications and research continue to be presented at academic and business conferences, articles of which explain some of the groundbreaking inventions and concepts. It says can be found here. I want to take you to some of these key things in a bit, but before I do that, I want to explain to you guys, back to this topic of the specific patent. Why is deterministic key generation to create unique keys for each smart contract significant? I want you guys to think outside the box, like I've always mentioned. I want to state this. There comes a time, not in every man's place, but there comes a time with all technology, doesn't matter if it's blockchain, DLT, but just technology in general, where you will see the shift of going without, going from the old entering into the new. As we know, Ethereum is the, like the McDonald's of smart contracts. There's more Ethereum smart contracts than anything else out there. Doesn't mean that just because it's like a Chinese buffet that you're getting the best just because you're getting most quantity. If anything, pay attention to the ones that create great quality, right? The gourmet of blockchain, if you will, if you want to use that analogy. What I want you guys to understand is when we get more into this outline tonight, and it's quite the outline, and it'll be chopped up later, you need to understand that there's so much talk about the ones that are threats to likes of Ethereum, and there's a whole bunch, right? Like we put so much emphasis on Stellar even, especially when it comes to Sorobon. BSV definitely needs to get the honorable mention, and I'm going to outline for you guys tonight why that is, and if anything, maybe you take a little bit more serious, and I'm not giving you financial advice, I'm just providing you information, but if it was me personally, and this is my own, immediate family, I don't have any immediate family, it's just my dad, but if there was, I would be telling them, look, are you into meme tokens? If they said, yeah, be like, well, if you have money to waste on that, why don't you have money to at least give this a chance? Now, hear me out. So, these unique keys for smart contracts offer significant benefits. This is where we're going to bring in the whole thing of how can this be a threat to Ethereum? Number one, reproducibility. Deterministic key generation. That's kind of hard for me to say. Ensures that the same seed, listen to this for a second, will always produce the same key. This allows devs and users to confidently reproduce the deployment process, facilitating testing, debugging, and of course, audits. Haven't we seen things very similar in other key projects, especially when it comes to Stellar with Sorobon? Yes. Right, security. Let's talk about this for a second, because at the end of the day, you can have all the boasted fast utility in the world, but if you don't have much security, you're sunk. By eliminating randomness in the specific patent created by Dr. Craig Wright in key generation, potential vulnerabilities associated with unpredictable factors are, of course, reduced. This makes it harder for attackers to exploit weakness in the key generation process. Now, let's pause there for just a brief moment and put some emphasis on this. What is one of the main things that BTC maxis go after BSV maxis and proponents like myself? They have pointed out time and time again that you're not going to get that mass adoption. You're not going to get that trust that BTC has. And I will give credit where credit's due. BTC currently holds that trust. slow, outdated tech. But this specific patent that Dr. Craig Wright invented does in fact make it harder for attackers to exploit the weakness in the key generation process. So if that is now solved because he has this specific patent, what does that do as far as more of that confidence? And how do we instill more of that mass adoption? Well, we have to get some of the bigger institutions involved, and we could get some other people involved, et cetera, et cetera. But it's worth pointing out. Three more things I want to get into. We're going to have cross-chain compatibility. A lot of you guys are into Cosmos. We're talking about all those cross-chain swaps and so on, right? Very cool stuff. Were you aware BSV also has that? Deterministic addresses generated using what they call create2 can be replicated across different networks. Listen to this. It allows smart contracts to interact with each other seamlessly across different blockchains, enhancing interoperability. You guys know me. I'm always talking about interoperability. You probably get tired of me talking about it. And it opens up new possibilities for decentralized applications. This has really caught my attention. All right. You have the greatest decentralized applications out there and boast it. But are you going to have an improved user experience for all these people using these apps and have it built on BSV? The answer is yes. Deterministic key generation simplifies the process of managing and recovering keys for multiple smart contracts. Interesting. Who was boasting that if you lost some of these things, that they would have an answer? Hedera. Remember the whole thing of what they want to accomplish for the future? Lost C phrases and so on. So now you don't just have Hedera, you have, for instance, BSV with what N-Chain is trying to do, Dr. Craig Wright, and so on. Users like you and me can easily derive child keys from a single seed, eliminating the need to manage numerous private keys. How was this all brought together? Through these exclusive patents created by Dr. Craig Wright. How about this for a second? How about efficient resource utilization? Now, I took more of a deeper look into this. Deterministic key generation reduces the need for on-chain storage, listen to this, of private keys. This can save significant gas costs. So yeah, goodbye Ethereum, and improve the overall scalability of smart contracts. Now, I will give an honorable mention to Casper. Casper, not Caspa. I do like Caspa, don't get it wrong. But with Casper, the head lady, CEO in charge, right? You know who she is. I can't pronounce her name offhand. So many names out there. But one thing I loved about Casper was being able to bring in all these contracts from Ethereum and, if anything, not hit people up with these crazy gas fees, right? Well, what about BSV? Yeah, because of these patents. So being able to save significant gas costs, improve overall scalability of smart contracts. So being able to have these guys, if they wanted to, these devs come on over to BSV, plug in these smart contracts and say, hey, who's part of your ecosystem? Is Ethereum? Hey, guess what? No problem. Because not only can we scale, which is huge, but we are going to save significant gas costs. Why would they stay with Ethereum? All right. I know it's a lot to get into, but this is such good stuff. And I spent a decent amount of time earlier to get into this. You're going to have enhanced transparency in regards to this. Deterministic key generation can improve the transparency of smart contracts, and it's going to make it easier to verify the authenticity and origin, of course, of the contract. This is especially important for smart contracts. It handles sensitive information, of course, in regards to the transactions. Now, there's, of course, more things about this, enables advanced functionalities, all this good stuff. There's also simplifying governance. But this last part I want to jump into for you before we kick it over to some specific patents. You got to keep in mind, deterministic key generation, which is a mouthful, enables the verification of computation. Can be used to implement verifiable computation protocols, allows users to verify the correctness, computations performed by smart contracts without revealing the underlying data. So not giving too much away, keeping things more safe. This can be valuable, of course, for applications such as securing voting systems or financial audits. Telling you flat out in the future, this whole concept that we've been talking about, voter fraud and so on, could BSV, and we've seen other ones trying to say like I think Hedera also. So could it be Hedera, BSV, maybe both? Create a solution that would end the whole thing of voter fraud. That would be a game changer, whether you're Democrat, Republican, independent like myself. In conclusion, I want you to take this away before we get into this next part about BSV. Deterministic key generation offers numerous advantages for smart contracts specifically. It's going to make it a valuable tool for devs and users alike. Also, it's going to leverage by creating benefits for developers can easily create more secure, reliable, and interoperable smart contracts that can unlock the full potential of the blockchain tech. Now we're going to take a pause, get back in the comments. The next part of what we have for BSV, we're going to get some of the nitty gritty in regards to the Justia patents. As we know, Justia patents is a site that we reference, especially when it comes to, Jasmy. But there's some few specific recent patents that were filed on October 12th of 2021, but were published. How soon? Pearl Harbor Day, December 7th, just a few days ago. Stay tuned for that. You're going to want to hear some of this juicy stuff, in my opinion. All right. Let's take the branding off for just a second. Let's get back into the comments. And let's see here. We have Peter Morton. I'm glad I was bullish on Taboo. Next to come is Palblocks and ZTA Metaverse. Well, Peter, welcome. Hope that you stick around. All right. Henry Brown, what is the best XRP to XLM ratio? I don't know what you're talking about in that regard, but that's okay. Antoine, I own everything you mentioned. Okay, you guys have a conversation. All right, let me go further down. Henry Brown, is Max still hodling Shiba Inu? Yes. And Brian trade everything for Ethereum? Yes. And if anything, I'm glad I did, because I am now up over, I think, like 2,000. Let me just double check. I mean, I know we had that pullback, but market's starting to go up right now too, which is cool. But yeah, the other day before, we had that pullback, my SHIB was, I think I was like a couple thousand in profit. Yeah, right now I'm like 1,600 in profit, at the height of everything. I do think SHIB is going to supersede my previous 11x that I did last time. I kind of have a rule of thumb. I don't know if I do it next time around, but this was a top performer for you all, for you, Max. Why don't you come in right around that same price range or maybe cheaper, buy up over $1 billion and hold it to the next time? That's what I did. And I'm pleased with it. I'm not complaining. I'm still up. Not complaining at all. All right. Let's read a few more comments. XXI Gaming says, one of the best crypto shows on YouTube. Thanks, brother XXI Gaming. I do appreciate you, man. And always thank you for keeping in contact. And, I really appreciate also the, just like the contact you have and so on. It's been pretty cool. And we're definitely going to do some Madden in the future for sure, or some NBA 2K or NFL Blitz or something, right? Anyway, Mr. Bud, welcome. That's Pierce Brosnan is James Bond. Wow. GoldenEye was my favorite Bond, Pierce Brosnan Bond film. Anyway, check out Kuzuna AI built on Tau AI block. Okay, cool. Shiba Inu's Ryoshi owns half the supply. Huh. Okay. Interesting. I want to thank John Francis for the $2 super chat. Thank you so much for that. I don't know if it's a super chat or super sticker, but I do appreciate it. Let's go down and let's see here. What else you guys got? We got X marks the spot in the house. Good to see you, X. 3.3K. Go Maximus. Oh, my sub count. Thank you. Appreciate all you guys' support. It's been pretty awesome. I did see on the stats, it said on the 7-day analytics that the subs are up, the views are up, watch hours are up. Everything is up for the last 7 days. On the 28-day thing, it's not, it's down. But on the 7-day, which is most recent, it's up. So I've been trying to keep up with at least one video per day. I do miss doing the whole thing of live shows almost every day, but you guys know how it goes. Mr. Sinister, hey man, you always send me well wishes on X platform. Thank you for being here. Says, hope you okay, bro. Appreciate you doing the update. I'll try to be okay. The way I look at it is, I know that not everybody believes and so on. I think it's sad personally. I wish everybody could have a personal relationship with God and so on, but I just know that how God's been working in my life and he's helping me get through things, nothing without Jesus. And that's the way I look at it. And the Lord Jesus get me through things. It's helping me become a better person, be more kinder to people. But like me and some of my other friends that talked about, the way I look at it is it's kind of like like a butterfly. It's like we're like a caterpillar going to become a butterfly. It's not reincarnation, but the way I look at it, I'll see my dad again in the afterlife. Same like grandparents, all our friends, loved ones, lost ones, some of my old best friends that passed away. Very, very sad things. But I'm gonna make do, and I'm gonna make the best of this old life that we got, and same to all you guys out there with whatever you're going through and so on. I know some of you guys have shared that you lost some friends and loved ones and so on. My daddy's still here with me and so on, and his speech is really bad right now, and he is approaching, I don't know how much time he's got, but I know it's not long. The chaplain's going to be coming tomorrow, and it's going to be tough, that's for sure. But, my dad's kidneys are starting to go. His organs are starting to shut down, so I thought I'd do a show because he's resting right now. He's sleeping so good. He's comfortable. And I'm just trying to do my best to keep him comfortable. So, all right, let me see here. John Francis, he means it's a no-brainer. XLM has everything faster, cheaper, better. Yeah, I'm glad you like XLM. I actually hold a little bit more XLM than I do XRP. Not by much, but like a little bit more. Simply because it was, I bought the bottom at like 7 cents or whatever it was, 6 or 7 cents. Decided to double my position. I was like, I'm not gonna be able to double my position at these prices with my XRP. But anyway, yeah, BSV has that. We're gonna get to some more about that here in a bit. All right, let's see here. I need some ease for Jasmy transfers and wallet pain, and that sucks. That totally sucks. So I know a lot of you guys are against centralized exchanges and so on, but you got to keep in mind, you're outside the United States, the fees are like not much at all, especially on KuCoin. Crypto.com charges a little bit more, but you're not getting hit with big fees. If you're doing it straight from like Uniswap, yeah, you're getting hit with those big gas fees. There's, of course, Jasmy in regards to the Binance Smart Chain. But yeah, it can be a pain. And if anything, it's expensive. All right, let's see here. Yeah, you can swap, but there's those fees. All right. Let's go further down. Read a few more comments. T Lens is in the house, aka Tia. Tia Lens. Me too. Well, I don't know who you're talking to. Well, obviously OG Crypto, but good to see you, Tia. I thought I'd give you a shout out. We have Patrick Collier, man. I was wondering about you, man. Good to see you, Patrick. Always glad to see you. He says 589th. Member for 2 months. Well, thanks, Patrick. Congratulations. Let's double check the other screen, see how we're doing. And I think we're doing fine. Let's rapid fire through some comments. April Cornwall is here. I'll try to do it the right way, April. She says it's not it's basically, hey girl, how you doing, Brittany? I don't know. Anyway. But yeah, that's what's up. So Tim Shea says prayers. Brian Dowdy, thank you guys. April Cornwell, we love you, Max. Life is hard. Yeah, something about that 50 Cent verse from was it Many Men? He says death got to be easy because life is hard. It'll leave you mentally, physically, emotionally scarred. Whether you're into hip hop or not, like those are very true words. Um, Life is hard. Just enjoy what you have. Left Max, babe. That's what all we can do. He knows. Yeah. And there's times like it's hard to understand him. When he's fully hydrated, like when he first came back, fresh from the hospital, he's good. But what sucks for him, he has Barrett's esophagus, so he has a very narrow. It was always a narrow opening in his esophagus, and then of course the whole stroke on October 22nd amplified the whole thing. So it's just when he drinks, it's like he's just sipping. And before, like I mentioned, you guys, he had 3 straight good days. The last 3 days have been bad days, but he can't communicate certain things with me, like, hey, you want something to drink? Yeah, kind of like that. Or, like he'll tell me he loves me. I'll say, hey, Dad, I love you. But I don't know, I love you too. Or, but you don't really sound like that. But, we can communicate. The way I look at it, just because he doesn't come across as speaking normal, I can still treat him like a regular, normal person because he's my dad. So anyway, I do appreciate you guys. So Sean Francis says, appreciate or praying for you, Max. I know, man, my dad passed away in 2018, the most dreadful day of my life, but God changes things. Yes, you're true. That's right. One of the best shows in crypto content. Greece says OG Crypto. Thanks for that. Richie Rich says, stay strong, Max. Thank you, guys. Yo, Max, been a while. Keep the faith, bud. You'll see your dad again. Gates are open. Good ones. I pray in your pop. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Crypto, Mr. Lambo's Crypto Top. Prayers for you and your dad. Thanks, man. In reality, it's just I don't really have any immediate family. He's the only one I have. I don't have a wife and kid or anything like that yet. Maybe someday in the future. Little known fact, I've been taking care of either my mom or my dad since 2013, basically. I don't know. Wasn't able to really start my own life, if you will, but maybe it'll happen in the future. Only 42. Or some people say that's too old to start a family and whatnot. Well, you know what? I don't care what they think. How about that? It's just like I don't care that people think I'm wrong for being in crypto. Shout out to you guys, right? If we care what people think, then what are we doing, right? All right. Enough about that. I do appreciate the thoughts and prayers. And sometimes it's kind of hard for me to even keep it together right now, but I'm doing my best. Let's jump back to what we have, the patents. All right. So let me use the bottom content or comment from hold on. Read these. We're definitely going to have a huge barbecue. Thank you. Tia, you are definitely not too old. Thanks. Appreciate that. I mean, the way I look, I'm not. My dad was almost 47 when I was born. All right. You got to treat me to a Phoenix Suns game? Oh, thanks. My number one team's actually the Blazers, but it's Blazers Suns. It's the way it's always been. But yeah, either way, thank you. Some people say you can't have 2 teams. That's also where I don't care what they think. All right. My mom was a hardcore Suns fan and so on, so they're always my number 2 team. But push came to shove. There was a couple, 2 or 3 years ago, I think it was, maybe 4. Suns did face the Blazers in the playoffs. Blazers did win, and I did root against the Suns on that one. But anyway, my mom was rooting for the Suns. Anyway, all right. Let's get back into the topic of what we have. Let's turn the branding back on. It is some of that BSV. And I do hope you guys appreciate the research. I really try to gather quite a bit. So it'll be chopped up later and so on. We've been getting a lot of momentum lately in regards to BSV. It's been very well received. The number 1 video, believe it or not, on Maximus Crypto, despite what most people believe, is not Jasmy. It's actually BSV. So we have a BSV community, and got to give where supply, give the supply and demand. Anyway, so shout out to those who are supporting this channel from BSV community. Really appreciate you. All right. These patents. Let's jump into it. So you guys are already familiar with this, especially when it comes to Jasmy coverage. This is the Justia patents, and this is in regards to the patents by inventor Craig Stephen Wright. Has filed for patents to protect the following inventions. The list includes, of course, patent applications that are pending, as well as patents that have already been granted by the United States Patent and Trademark Office, which is called the USPTO. All right, I'm just going to show just a few key things here. I was going to talk about the one that was filed all the way back in October of 2021. Check this out. Publication date. This is some of that juicy stuff. This one was actually published December 7th, 2023. And in that abstract is this Merkle proof entity. Now, some of you guys, of course, know about Merkle proof. I'm not going to get into all these specific things. But in the abstract, it says it's a computer implemented method of providing proof that a data item of a blockchain transaction exists, of course, on blockchain, wherein the method comprises obtaining from a requested party, all sorts of technical stuff, right? The corresponding target Merkle root is contained with a block of the blockchain where obtaining the target Merkle proof comprises calculating an index of target transaction identifier of the target blockchain transaction with a leaf layer of a corresponding Merkle tree and outputting at least the target Merkle proof for use by requested party, all this stuff, right? You have some of the inventors here. And of course, you see Dr. Craig Stephen Wright. In regards to him specifically and only him, there's this other one that was filed all the way back in August 29th of 2022. And basically, data patent is now December 5th. So not that long ago, assignee N. Shane, okay? Inventor, Craig Stephen Wright. You have all these other ones, specifically. But look how many times you see all these ones. You had grants. When they were filed, January 10th, 2019, interesting. That's a big, big day, if you guys remember that one. I won't get into the nitty-gritty, but if you've been following BSV, you know about that. Look at this. Data patent, recent, December 5th, 2023. Look at this other one. Merkle proof entity, November 30th, 2023. Craig Stephen Wright. Again, I'm not going to read all this because I don't want to bore you too much with it because some of it kind of, let's face it, gets a little dry, right? Challenge response protocol based on physically unclonable functions. This is interesting. Computer implemented method comprising of more than one instances of challenge response mapping operation. Again, some of that technical stuff. Owners, Jack Owen Davies, Craig Stephen Wright. Originally filed August 31st, 2021. Publication date, November 23rd, 2023. So, it's consistently recent, right? Look at all this. Boom. Boom. A little bit more about this. See that? Lots of good consistency here. All here. Consistently. Time and time again. Right? How about this one? This token system. Validated token transaction can be tracked back to the token mint transaction. If anything, I do know this much. Being able to see if somebody's being sinister or not, right? If this guy is such a bad guy, why do we go through all the trouble of making specific patents where we can validate to see where the transaction can be tracked back to the original token minting? Just throwing that out there. All right, so there's so much there, consistently there, right? All right, I think I gave a good example. Now, in my own notes, basically, and also for you guys, because if anything, you kind of want to old Max to put it in layman's terms. So Dr. Craig Wright of the Bitcoin Association, of course, has many patents. I would be asking which ones are the most significant and why do they matter, of course, to BSV holders. I want you to keep in mind this. Dr. Craig Wright, as we know, is the self-proclaimed Satoshi Nakamoto and chief scientist of N-Chain. Holds a vast number of patents related to blockchain tech. And even though we went through that specific list, keep in mind that while the exact number is fluid, nobody knows the exact amount. I mean, I guess you could count it one by one. No, I'm not going to do that. Not like the last guy who's going to read the top 300 for no reason. All right, I'll stop. Anyway, estimates range from 800 granted patents to nearly 4,000 total patents from Dr. Craig Wright. Wow. I mean, even if you think this guy's fake Toshi, wow. And of course, this includes some pending applications. These patents cover a wide range of blockchain apps, and they do include, listen to this, scalability and transaction processing. Now, for whatever reason, when I talk about BSV lately, our brother Cool Cat is not here in attendance. That's okay. You can watch the chopped up version. But I want you to pay attention to these 3 key patents, because there's a grocery list, there's ones that stand out, and there's ones that don't. Let's talk about the ones that stand out. If you appreciate the BSV coverage tonight, smash the like. Please make sure that you're subbed. If anything, share it with some of the other BSV blockchain enthusiasts, whether you're a maxi or not. All right? Don't shoot the messenger, though. Patent US 2019-089-10481. This is a method for scaling a blockchain network through a 2-tier architecture with an off-chain ledger for high volume transactions. Do you not understand where we're going with that one? I think you do. How about this other one? Patent US 2019-027931A1, a method for parallel transaction processing on a blockchain network to increase throughput. Ooh, I think I understand that one. How about this third one? Patent US 2019-089-101A1. It's a method for handling micropayments on a blockchain network using a micropayment channel. Now, why would old Max mention that one specifically? Been following anything about Michael Saylor? What does he boast all the time about? Micropayments. Interesting. What about the one that has real true scalability? Now, some people say, well, it's Lightning Network, and they already have that. Look more into that whole thing of the Lightning Network and see how well that's working out for the people that are proponents of that. Do you see Elon Musk getting all gung-ho and on board for the Lightning Network? No. He's made it pretty much public that he thinks Lightning Network is pretty much like an epic fail. But what about BSV? Now, you got to keep in mind, while these patents are significant, of course, to us as in BSV holders, they address scalability challenges, true, that are hindering the widespread adoption of Bitcoin as a global payment system. Bitcoin, as in BTC, as a global payment system. But what about BSV as a global payment system? If anything, this is why I am now going to add more and DCA more into BSV, because I do think that behind the scenes, they have a seat at the table when it comes to the new monetary system. Hear this out. If these technologies are implemented, BSV could very well potentially process, back to Satoshi, I will tag you, my friend, and we'll have to do a collaboration again. BSV could potentially process millions. That's right, you read it, you heard it. Millions of transactions per second, making it a viable alternative to the traditional payment networks. Now, Satoshi, I know you're going to say, we can even do trillions. That's amazing. But in reality, even hundreds of thousands compared to, and don't get me wrong, I'm not going to dump my Ripple XRP or Stellar. I know some of you BSV maxis don't like hearing that, because I like being diversified. I do want to earn money, and I want to earn money at different times, and some things pop off at different times. I think we can agree to that. But this isn't hundreds of thousands of TPS. So for BSV to process millions of transactions per second, making it viable alternative to traditional payment networks such as your Visas and MasterCards, that is game changer tech. Now, we're going to talk about 3 specific security and privacy patents. Listen to this, because if we don't have security and privacy, we don't have squat. And you guys know, when it comes to privacy, cover and talk about Jasmy, talk your ear off about it. We do have some Jasmy coverage. But listen to this. Patent US 1087484-2B2, as B as in Bob, is a method for securing a blockchain network using a multi-signature scheme. Back to the what? The patent that basically was approved for Dr. Stephen Wright. How about this? Patent US 9743011B2. It's a method for anonymizing transactions on a blockchain network using ring signatures. No, not the Ring doorbell, but that might be another deep dive to get into. Don't have it available tonight, but it's interesting. Now, this third one for security and privacy. US 202-00114488A1. It's a method, listen to this, for preventing double spending on a blockchain network using a time-based lock. Did we not talk about this? I think we did. Remember that one we talked about where, you can't have a situation where people are paying double. I think I talked about that last week. I don't know if there's anybody, you could drop it in the comments if you remember me talking about that. Because I said, nobody wants to pay double for anything. So do you have something, a patent to prevent that? Yeah, you do. It's that specific one. Interesting. Now, back to the topic at hand. These patents. They are important for us as in BSV holders because they enhance the security and privacy of course, the network. This is crucial for ensuring trust and confidence, of course, in the platform. And most importantly, as this is adopted as in BSV for businesses and individuals for sensitive transactions. We got to get into the next part. Smart contracts. This is a threat to Ethereum big time. Because what if, you can have literally no reason for anybody to use Ethereum ever again. Hear me out. Patent US 2019-088998A1 is a method for creating and executing smart contracts on a blockchain network. This other one, which is US 2019-08905481, 4A as an Apple 1, is a method for enforcing smart contracts on a blockchain network using a blockchain oracle. Interesting. Well, you know where we're going with that for cross-border payments and so on. You got to keep in mind, this is where a lot of people feel up. Well, Chainlink stands out, right? Right. BSV is sitting at the table, maybe in secrecy. Maybe just most people don't know it, but they're definitely sitting at the table for cross-border payments. Number 3, in regards to smart contracts, this might be the biggest one. Patent US 2019-089052A1. It's a method for providing data feeds to smart contracts on a blockchain network. Well, that doesn't sound impressive, but it's there. These patents, if you weren't aware, lay the groundwork for the development of sophisticated smart contracts on BSV. Why is this important to you? Well, if Olmax put so much emphasis on Stellar with Sorbonne being the sophisticated key smart contract platform for Sorbonne, then these patents definitely need to have just as much emphasis and honorable mention. This could enable the creation of a wide range of decentralized applications, and boy, oh boy, boil it, mash it, stick it in stew. Charlie Shrem of Investor Place called this. He called it since early this year, and if you guys have been following our community, whether it's here at Maximus Crypto or unfortunately the old channel, we've been talking about this. Watch out for the end of 2023 for when dApps really start standing out. But what about patents that lay the groundwork? So we talk about this wide range of decentralized applications, and this is going to include, of course, the one part DeFi, supply chain management, and even voting systems. So BSV is even at the table when it comes to being part of supply chain. We put so much emphasis on XDC, and I still will keep my XDC. Don't get me wrong. I don't hold Morpheus Network. It's a good one. I don't hold VeChain. It's a good one. But BSV is even part of that mix And you're going to say, how so? With more patents. Do you love how this works? So we have intellectual property and data ownership. Hear me out on this. Hopefully you enjoy the coverage. Patent, look it up if you're a nerd. US 1114981B2, as in B as in boy, and then number 2. It's a method for registering and managing intellectual property rights on a blockchain network. This other particular patent is US 20210051299A1. It's a method for authenticating ownership of data on a blockchain network. And this third one is US 20210143926A1. Again, there's probably a couple nerds out there. Most of you guys aren't doing this. It's a method for sharing data on blockchain network with a granular access control. Now, put it in layman's terms for you and me, and most of us, they're like, I don't understand this. These patents hold the potential to revolutionize, listen to this, how intellectual property and data are managed. So yeah, kind of like, what we talk about with Jasmy to a sense. Not the exact same thing. It's not a personal data locker, but it's going to help revolutionize how some of this data is managed. And if we're moving money for cross-border payments, which obviously with what we covered, that's going to happen, then you do have to potentially, protect intellectual property and data and how that's managed. But if anything, revolutionize, that sounds bullish. They provide in these patents from Dr. Craig Wright a way of being able to provide a secure and tamper-proof platform for registration, authentication, sharing. Could also empower creators and businesses to better protect and listen to this. This is even part of that whole Jasmy thing, if you will. I'm not saying that they're partners. Just get me, hear me for a second. Allows creators, businesses to better protect and monetize their assets, not data, but their assets. Interesting. It's important to note that the significance of potential impact in regards to all what we talked about tonight. All these patents, of course, are still being debated, but I'm going to show you some things that were debated by the anti-BSV people. And if anything, I'll try to debunk some of this stuff by showing you some actual articles with some proof of this is already solved. So whether this is being debated or not, some people, of course, believe that these things will revolutionize the blockchain industry. True, I do. I'm on board with that. Obviously, your brother Cool Cat Crypto probably feels that way. While others question their validity and practicality. But regardless of whatever side you're on, Dr. Craig Wright's patent portfolio represents a significant intellectual property asset for N-Chain and us, as in BSV holders. However, keep in mind, it is crucial to consider that the validity of these patents is a matter of ongoing, of course, legal dispute. Hence why we have some of the things in regards to the COPPA trial and so on. That's not over yet. Additionally, the impact of these patents on the BSV network remains to be seen. True. Only time will tell whether these technologies will be successfully implemented and have significant impact, of course, on the BSV ecosystem. Very true. Now, there's always going to be the type of person, whether you're listening to this as a BSV holder or you're a person that's like, I'm against BSV. There's always going to be the type of person that's going to say, until this is proven, I don't want to jump in. Okay, I hear you. You're going to jump in when it's confirmed, because guess what? There's no way that you're going to see the prices of what you see right now, roughly $47 to $50. There's just no way. Once things are confirmed, I don't see it being around these prices. As we know, supply and demand kicks in, FOMO kicks in. Hence the first video I did for BSV on this channel. Will we see record high FOMO? I think the answer is yes. Now, before we wrap things up, we did talk about the whole thing of smart contracts, and I'll just take a brief moment to pause on this. But basically, there's more to it on this. This is quite the outline I want to get into. And basically speaking, some people who are new to all this, they're going to ask, well, Max, you're putting emphasis on BSV with smart contracts. Does BTC already have smart contracts? If so, can you provide some examples? The answer is yes, of course. Bitcoin does have smart contracts, but I'm going to give you some of the explanations of the complexities of all that, scalability issues, so on and so forth. We're going to get into that as well. Of course, all this will be chopped up, have a nice flow. I want to get back into the comments because, I mean, it is a lot of material. All right. What we're going to do now is recognize the 74 new comments that came in. Quite a few. Let's see what we have. And let's see. I think we're all caught up for the most part. I did see Mr. Squid in the comments. And I see Mr. Dinu, aka Dingy, in the comments. Awesome to see you, Mr. Dinu. Dinu? I always said like a Dinu. Anyway. Yeah. I do thank you again, John Francis. That'd be amazing. I always wanted to go to a courtside game or something like that. Not saying you have to buy courtside. So you get one set. I will be more than satisfied with the lower deck instead of the nosebleeds, right? Anyway. Edward Vincent, Squidward. Yes, I gave you a shout already. Good to see you, Mr. Squid. I'm sure you're killing it with the sales and so on. Rocking it out. Just Forfeit, welcome. We appreciate your grind. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. I appreciate you appreciating. Welcome back, Just Forfeit. All right, Japanese barbecue in Japan, Max. That'd be amazing, man. Get some Wagyu, right? Watch the guy cut it up in a little square, and then kind of just delicately move the steak around and just put nothing but salt on it because it's already buttery and amazing, I guess. I don't know. I watched the videos, right? You will enjoy your $500 a pound 3-ounce Wagyu. Wow. How much is that? Oh, $200. Let's go. Can I pay that in Jasmy? No. You use your personal data locker to access the Japanese yen denominated stablecoin that you've been talking about for the last 2 years. Let's go. True. Very true. All right. Sorry about that. Anyway. Definitely River, great idea. All right. Let's see here. We have John Francis. You lived in Japan on and off in the 80s. I didn't know that. Would love to see the country now with you guys. Yeah, that'd be cool, man. I'll be down. Be down for a lot of things. Japan sounds good to me. When are we going? Yeah, that'd be freaking awesome. And Boomer, you could point us to some of the places that that you went to in the past and so on, or some of the other places, because of your time in the Navy. Well, consider me part of your family then. Well, thanks, OG. I really appreciate that, man. And thank you for the nice things you said on the voicemail on the DM. All right, let's read a few more comments. John Francis says, back in the day, you got lost there in Japan. You were obviously intoxicated, ended up on a farm. Wow, interesting. Hey, Light, good to see you. Hello, guten Tag. Dunka, thank you for being here. Hey, Max, my friend, you make a great job. Bull run of 22. I think you mean 20. Well, I think I know what you mean 24. Anyway, Justia Patents, thank you, Max. Yeah, you're very welcome. All right, let's go further down. Going to come back in from Japan with a badass sword. Awesome. All right, let's see here. Let me go further down in the comments. Here in Germany, there is speculation that when the interest rate cut in America comes next year, the DOW will go down a short time later, and then Bitcoin will also crash. Ugh. Elon Musk, Mike Cornwall, BSV is on the ETF list as well. That is true. That is very true. I remember you pointing that out. I was so like, wow, like a BSV spot ETF or whatever. And it's kind of like, everybody puts so much emphasis on the BTC ones because we understand it's going to bring a lot of money. You got to get credit where credit's due. It's like there is these things. And if it's such nonsense, then why do they have a BSV ETF? All right. Let's see here. Mike Cornwell, Elon Musk, moons come right at having that it takes off to $8 is right around April. Huh. You say we run and we run. This is a super cycle like no other. I think so. QT, I think, has a low max supply. Yeah, 14.88 million. So way lower than BTC. Quant is my second largest hold. You put gold, but it's typo. That's okay. All right, let's read this as well. Cool, Elon. I'm okay, I thought you were talking about real Elon. My bad. Dinu, man, I hope that's the last cycle for this bullish bull bear. If there is no utility, our profits is your bag or my bad, or who pulls out first. Was listening a video yesterday. Technology adoption of crypto to take 15 to 30 years. Be in a retirement home by then. So you're a lot older than I am. Interesting. All right. Stump Rider, good to see you, man. Max, you were absolutely not old to start a family. You were prime, mature, and ready. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, there's just so many times, even when my dad was away in the hospital, something about like being in an empty house and then like you're going through what you're going through, and it's just like there's just nobody. Thank God that I had the Lord, because I mean, I think I'd be going crazy. I really do. I would be going nuts. I mean, I'd be like, I don't know. It's so much harder this time around because it's the thought of you losing the last of your immediate family. It'd be different if I had brothers and sisters, because it's like you have, your brother, or your sister, or both, as support. I do think my best friend, Mike Wool, he's been there for me and so on. But man, it's one of those things. But I have come to terms with it. And the way I look at it, I'm so thankful that my dad was able to, he's still here. And I still try to have visits if I can with him and so on. But, he's getting to the point, he's so tired. And the lady from hospice said that, that's what's going to happen. So anyway. All right, let's see. Let's read this from OG Crypto or Chain, first ever AI Oracle. Very cool. Hey, there's the one only. Oui, merci beaucoup. Quant is the bridge between public and private blockchains. Yeah. And I'm going to do somewhat of a FUD buster, I guess you could say. Might be tomorrow. And I got some help from Quant Pop. Don't like doing FUD busters all that often, because sometimes you do too many FUD busters, then people think, or they look at, like me or some of these other guys, like, well, you're a go-to for floodbusters. Oh, this influencer said this. I'm gonna go to Max, and Max is going to instantly do a video. No, I may not. I have nothing personally against Jerry Banfield. I don't. All right, he has a difference of opinion. That's okay. Some people were expecting me to do a floodbuster in that regard. Well, I didn't do it, but at least Jesse at KIR Finance did. So the way I look at it is, if it's warranted and needed, we'll do it. But as far as like, I just don't want the channel to be identified as, because I've had some people DMing me. Yeah, hey, I'm new to your channel. I saw that you do FUDbusters. I have this FUDbuster for you. No, that's not me. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Anyway, yeah, no problem. Glad you guys like the info. Let's read this for Stump Rider. Life is too short. Enjoy the days. I've been in the hospital with my wife. Going back tomorrow. Wife had another stroke. Oh no. Well, you know what? Old Max is never too busy not to pray for her fellow brothers and sisters, part of our community. In Jesus' name, I pray that can have healing for your wife. I'm so sorry, man. Really I am. You're going through some stuff. All of us are going through something. Maybe some of us aren't, but some of us have gone through something at some point in our life. And, I definitely will pray for you. And, who will also pray for you, I'm sure he would, is this guy right here. Legrand Commission is the pastor. Legrand, I know you have a prayer, a prayer sheet, if you will. If you could pray for Stump Rider, we would definitely appreciate it. We are a community and we stick together. And, that's one thing I love about our community. We stick together for good times and bad. And, I'm not into all the things that you guys are into and vice versa. But there's times that we can take a moment to recognize what's going on outside of crypto, with our fellow brothers and sisters, and we need to definitely pray for fellow brother Stump Rider with what he's going through. You know, I know sometimes you'll hear people in passing and be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, my condolences." It's just something people say. You can hear sincerity. Some people are sincere in their own way. I want you to know I am sincere. When I tell you that I will pray for you, Stump Rider, for you and your wife and your family, I truly, truly mean that. Okay? You can take that to the bank. For real. Okay? I usually try to say grace to myself before I eat a meal. I will be eating a little bit later, hopefully not too heavy of a meal, and I definitely will remember that. All right. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Legrand, for that. All right. What we're going to do now is, yeah, you're very welcome. You know, and anybody out there, if you're going through anything, I know sometimes like it's hard for me to get back to, you know, I don't get to all the DMs maybe too super quick, but I'm not. This is not so much of a big channel. It's not a small channel where I can't DM people and so on. So, if you're going through something, you need somebody to talk to. You know, I'm going through something right now. I really do a good job of getting back to people, and I will try to at least take some time to recognize your DM and so on. And that's what's up. All right. Didn't you? Last week was hell for you too. Your wife had a miscarriage, was in the hospital. Oh, man. In the month of December, Christmas and all that, and the holidays. I'm so sorry, Mr. Dingy. That's going to be tough. My mom, she had a couple of miscarriages and so on when I was a kid. So, you know, I remember all that. And, you know, it was for some people, I think, especially as men, sometimes like we don't fully understand. I mean, I've never been married, but I try to understand other friends, especially my mom, what they're going through. They're going through something. You are going through something. And I'm glad you share that and so on. And thoughts and prayers are with you too, Dingy. Okay. And your wife. Let's also pray for them as well. Okay. Yeah, it sucks, don't it? All right. It's hard to just, you know, turn off all the emotions that we have all together as a community and be like, all right, well, back to the topic, right? I'm not trying to do that, but, you know, we are here we do that. So, anyway. All right, let's read this from Light. Oh, nice. 3 hours away. Okay. Yeah. Very sorry to hear that. I agree. So, Dinu and Stump Rider. I'm going to write that down. Let me write that right out. Dinu Stump. I'm just going to call it my prayer list. There we go. There you go. You know, sometimes I even pray with old Will Fix too. So I'll definitely mention that. Okay? Blessings to you guys, for real. Everybody's going through something. You're very welcome. All right. Not to be dismissive. I'm not trying to be dismissive. Let's jump back to this outline that we have. We obviously have quite a bit of more coverage. And we're approaching that 2-hour mark. If you're just tuning in, we're getting more into some of this nitty gritty about BSV. And of course, shared some key things in regards to BSV. So I'm going to close out some of the tabs. Just kind of helps with some things. And yeah, let me get into this. So, let me close that out. That out. And this up. All right. Let's get into the nitty gritty in regards to like Ethereum part of the mix. So let me turn the branding back on. There we go. And all right. So we just talked about the whole thing of like how BSV can do these things to contribute towards the greater, you know, positive scheme of things. Like, you know, have a thriving ecosystem. I don't know of any blockchain project that doesn't want a thriving ecosystem. No kidding, right? Well, what we're going to do is I'm going to get into a few more key things of my notes. And basically, you know how we're talking about, does BTC have smart contracts? Of course, the answer is yes. Can we give examples in regards to all this? Yes. So while Bitcoin does have smart contracts, they do differ from the more complex smart contracts, for instance, that are found in, the McDonald's of smart contracts, Ethereum. Here, I'm going to give you like a basic breakdown and some of the simple smart contracts that are on the BTC main chain is a scripting language that comes from BTC. You have, for instance, multi-signature transactions. A lot of this stuff sounds kind of similar to BSV, right? You have time lock transactions. They can be programmed to release at a specific time or date, making them useful for delayed payments or inheritance planning. This is where, of course, some people like Michael Saylor are going to be like, well, you don't need to have super fast payments, basically you just buy and you hold BTC long term. And for a lot of people, let's face it, they don't really use BTC for cross-border payments and whatnot. You use it as a store of value, as the saying goes. How about hash-backed transactions? Now, we have kind of touched bases on this before. You got to keep in mind these are conditional transactions based on a specific hash value. It basically enables things like secret auctions and commitment schemes. Sounds kind of nuts, don't it? And of course, there is payment channels. I can imagine, BTC being used as a payment channel, but there is a function to allow for off-chain transactions, of course, between two parties, increasing scalability and privacy. And this is, of course, where your BTC maxis will say, Lightning Network all the way, right? Right. All right. There's more complexities. And speaking of the Lightning Network, you got to keep in mind, this is in fact a second layer protocol built, of course, on top of the BTC blockchain that enables faster and cheaper transactions, supposedly. Lightning Network itself can be used to create more complex smart contracts. For instance, there's a couple of examples. Atomic swaps. Some of you guys know about atomic swaps. Basically, it's a direct peer-to-peer exchange of different cryptocurrencies without the need, of course, for a third party. There's also, of course, institutional atomic swaps that we talked about in regards to what Quant has going on with, for instance, the RLN network. Remember, we talked about that in a deep dive. I'm not going to talk you guys' ears off about this. Back to the whole thing of Michael Saylor. He always talks about micropayments. So even with BTC, you do have those micropayments, do allow for the payment of very small amounts, of course, of Bitcoin, making them ideal, of course, for microblogging and streaming content. There's other examples of smart contract applications for BTC, escrow services, even supply chain. We talked about BSV. I'd be more impressed with BSV for supply chain management, especially when it comes to scalability. Can you imagine being stuck at a shipping part and waiting for, that whole transaction to happen with BTC? Give me a break. Like, that's not going to be a popularized thing. There's also DeFi smart contracts for lending platforms. We know about this, decentralized exchanges. There's prediction markets. Even on BTC, smart contracts can be used to create prediction markets. People can bet on the outcome of future events. People did that. They did it basically last night, seeing roughly, was it $4,000 or $5,000 erased from BTC in a matter of a minute or two. Yeah, so there's that. How about NFTs? Yes, there's smart contracts that can be used to create NFTs, which are unique digital assets that can be represented for artwork to collectibles. You saw the whole thing with ordinals, right? Ordi. There's, of course, limitations, as we know, when it comes to BTC and smart contracts. And we, for the most part, know about some of these things. But one of the key things that I want to share with you is this. And that is this whole concept of what is referred to as non-Turing complete. And this is where some people that are BTC proponents that go after BSV will say, yep, this is where we got you by the you-know-what, because BSV doesn't have Turing complete. I would say the answer is no, and I'm going to provide you some evidence to support that thesis. So for one, you have to keep in mind when it comes to some of these limitations, non-Turing complete, this is Bitcoin scripting language, is not Turing complete, meaning it cannot execute arbitrary programs. This limits the complexity, of course, of smart contracts that can, of course, be built on the platform. Very true. How about limited functionality? Bitcoin smart contracts are primarily focused on financial transactions and lack the ability to interact with external data or resources. Some people say that's good. Some people say that's horrible. How about scalability? Well, no kidding. BTC Maxi is going to say, yeah, we have scalability Lightning Network. Those of us who are in BSV, we're going to be like, give me a break. True Bitcoin is BSV because of scalability and other things. But scalability, the Bitcoin network is not as scalable as some other blockchains, as in BTC, which can lead to higher transaction fees, slower confirmation times for smart contracts. Yeah, no joke. But despite all these limitations, as we know, BTC does have the trust. A lot of people trust it, even though it's slow old tech. BTC smart contracts offer a secure and reliable way to automate transactions, create new types of financial instruments. That's why people say a long store of value. As the tech continues to evolve, we can expect to see even more innovative applications, even for BTC. And some people say, well, yeah, you see that with like ordinals and so on. Okay, right. But I'm more impressed with BSV because also way more cheaper, could buy a heck of a lot more, has the same tokenomics, and so on. You guys already know about this. So basically, I want to take just a brief moment to get into why I'm putting so much emphasis on this thing called Turing complete. So here's the bottom line. Is BSV in fact Turing complete? Because it needs to get mentioned. Some people feel as though, yes, it is. No, it's not. BTC Maxi is going to say, no, it's not. Whether or not BSV is Turing complete is a complex and, of course, debated topic. Here's basically what we know. Here's the arguments. Sorry, wish I had some water next to me. I don't, but I could get up and get it, and then I have to chop it up even more. Forget it. It's okay. We'll be all right. Some people, in regards to these arguments, claim that BSV script language is powerful enough to simulate a Turing machine, which would make it a Turing complete. We're going to get more into some of the specifics. I know it still sounds a little Greek. BSV proponents argue that the lack of Turing completeness is a deliberate design choice to avoid security vulnerabilities and infinite loops. Now, back to what we shared earlier from the Justia patents list. Did we not see that Dr. Craig Wright had a few of those specific patents that we outlined specifically that answers this problem? The answer is yes, it does. He did come up with some of those patents. Even some of the other guys from his team at Enchain came out with those specific patents for that reason. And look at the publication date, December 7th, some of the other recent ones. So there is that. Is that perfect timing? Especially entering into 2024, the year of the dragon, right? As we know, look at that logo, right? BSV, Satoshi Vision, the dragon. Kind of a crazy coincidence. This is all planned. I don't know. Interesting. This third point. Some believe that BSV scripting capabilities are sufficient for its intended purpose, which is primarily, listen to this, financial transactions. This is where I always think to myself before when I was new to this whole thing at BSV, why are all these BSV maxis attacking me because I hold Ripple's XRP and so on? That's why. Right? And I get it. I'm still going to hold these other ones, though. You can attack me all you want. It's okay. Just as long as you're respectful. Don't, be disrespectful, right? Can't stand when somebody wants to attack somebody just tear a person down. You want to provide an argument? Provide an argument, but do it in a mature way, right? All right. So basically, how about some of the arguments for BSV being non-Turing complete? This is where, of course, the BTC maxis are like, yeah, bring it on. Well, several independent analysts basically have concluded that BSV script language lacks certain key features required for Turing completeness, such as unbounded loops and recursion. Right, a few years ago. But again, what have we seen recently? What we have seen recently is some of these patents. And I'm also going to provide you some actual articles with some evidence to support that, in my opinion, we are at Turing complete. So, BSV community itself has acknowledged that BSV is not Turing complete in official documentation. Some argue that the non-Turing completeness is beneficial for security, as it disallows malicious actors from creating infinite loops and other, of course, harmful programs. Again, this is where BTC Maxi is going to be like, yep, this is why you're never going to get the trust that BTC has. And guess what? Have we not learned anything from our history? We should learn from our history. And if the history teaches us right, yes, even BTC had these trust issues at the beginning. Everything is going to have trust issues at the beginning. But if you have somebody like Dr. Craig Wright and these other inventors from N-Chain creating specific patents to create that sense of security by, like, I hate to say it, like, Star Wars reference, like, did we patch up that little hole in the Death Star? Yes, we did. We have a patent that answers that, if you will, right? Great. Then we don't have that vulnerability anymore, do we not? Right. How soon did that come out? Well, apparently last week. Interesting. Yes, very interesting. The current consensus basically states this. The majority of the computer science community believes that BSV is not Turing complete. Maybe they just didn't get the memo of some of the recent things that's happened. However, the debate continues and there remains some disagreement. And we have some resources that we're going to get into in regards to this whole Turing complete and why Max is putting so much of an emphasis on it, bringing it to you. Now, check this out for a second. I'm going to share this with you. And basically speaking, here it is straight from BSV blockchain. Now, on the site, it talks about this illustration of Bitcoin suitability for contracts, tokens. Basically, this was published on the 29th of June, 2022. But getting more into this specifically, it says that they were at the first session during the We Are Developers WAD World Congress in Berlin. And they showed how these founders and developers and the community people laid down the theoretical foundation for understanding Bitcoin's what? Turing completeness. Yes. And thus its suitability for building smart contracts and issuing tokens. Do you understand where old Max is going with this? Yes, I think you do. And that is the threat to Ethereum. Every blockchain, I don't care who it is, whether it's Stellar with Sorbonne, whether it's BSV with this Turing completeness, they all want to go after Ethereum's throat, right? Big time, because they realize that Ethereum dominates the overall crypto market along with BTC. Like I've always mentioned, BTC and Ethereum represent roughly 80 to 81% of the overall crypto market. If you can be a real threat to that, then you become part of that. Once you become part of that, then dominance gets alleviated. We see some other things like BSV, maybe your Ripple XRP, and so on. And I understand for a lot of you guys that are against Ripple, part of the BSV community and so on, I will state this, and that is back in 2017, we did see Ripple basically, come after Ethereum, and it was ahead of Ethereum in market cap at one point. And even Ripple was number one at one point in the past as well. But back to the topic, keep in mind the suitability for building smart contracts and issuing the tokens. This guy, Mr. Mihail Senkek, software developer at Scrypt, followed Kellen Schwiller with an illustration on how he can use Bitcoin to build smart contracts and issue tokens. And here's the thing about Turing complete system. After having introduced himself and his company, Scrypt, a company that deploys smart contracts on the BSV blockchain, Sinket reversed the discussion back to the white paper. Listen to this for a second. Contrary to what the majority in the blockchain space believes, Satoshi Nakamoto described the smart contract capability of Bitcoin with this quote: "The design supports a tremendous variety of possible transactions types that he designed years ago. Escrow transactions, bonded contracts, third-party arbitration, multi-party signature, etc., etc. If Bitcoin catches on in a big way, back to what I was talking about, creating that trust, just because BTC is like, yeah, we got the trust rate now, look at us. Also understand Every single project has to go through the trust period. So back to that, right? Escrow transaction, bonded contracts, and so on, right? Bitcoin catches on in a big way. These are big things, or I should say, these are things we want to explore in the future, but they all had to be designed at the beginning to make sure they would be possible later, says Satoshi Nakamoto. Why Bitcoin has been misconceived as not Turing complete? Look at this. Sinket points out that these misconceptions arose due to the course that what later became known as Bitcoin Core took. As a Bitcoin implementation, Bitcoin Core got rid of all the original OP codes to realize a user-based and supposedly decentralized version of Bitcoin. A byproduct of this choice was that it does not scale and only supports a limited amount of transaction types. No kidding. We've been talking about this forever. Sinkek stresses that this is not only, or this was not the original vision for Bitcoin, and Satoshi Nakamoto what he intended. And here's another quote. It turns out that Satoshi was actually a long-term thinker. And even before the Genesis block was mined, he actually introduced the Bitcoin script. It's really an expressive language in which you can code locking conditions for any transaction. And here's an example. The S-script developer provided practical examples to prove that Bitcoin is Turing complete. And again, you got to keep in mind this is from the BSV site. And they refer to themselves not as BSV, but as Bitcoin. Applications that demonstrate Bitcoin's Turing completeness include Conway's Game of Life and a so-called Rule 110 cellular automation. Both of these applications are proven to run on BSV blockchain and thus demonstrate its Turing completeness. Sinkek went on to describe S-script as a programming language and how it basically works. He did this because the company S-script translates core features of other blockchain protocols to the sole purpose of demonstrating S-script capabilities. The following soft forks are either already implemented on BTC, Schnorr signatures, and Taproot are proposed by Graph-Root. And so those are some of the examples. And I'll read this last part. The software engineer described that S-script was able to run all of them natively on the BSV blockchain. So that should be your answer when it comes to this whole thing of Turing complete. And if anything, here's the quote. Here's the contract for Schnorr signatures. So we actually implemented elliptic curve arithmetic inside script system. So there's no need for oracles or anything else. It runs on the base layer. An example, layer 1. Interesting. Why so interesting? Well, I know this is not a quant video or live coverage, but remember how we talked about a global layer 1? If anything, even if you're not a quant fan, you're just like a BSV maxi, go to the recorded video section. I did the most deepest of dives when it comes to the global layer 1. And if anything, what you should take in conclusion is that BSV also sits at that table. And how valuable will that be? Now, I want to jump into the next part to give you another example about this whole thing of Turing completeness. So you got to keep in mind, look at this for a second. This is from CoinGeek.com, and it mentions Dr. Wright summarizes the argument as being one of the transaction and block size limits with a true Bitcoin BSV rather than BTC being a Turing complete system. The argument, of course, from him, quote, the argument against Bitcoin being Turing complete is one of transaction and block size limits. Again, back to the whole thing of Michael Saylor and some of his quotes. Given such limits, Bitcoin would not be a Turing complete system, but Bitcoin was designed to be limited in such a manner. Hence, was the BTC system not Turing complete? Bitcoin is. Bitcoin is. BSV is, for some of you guys that are new and don't understand the lingo. So another example, and again from another source. All right. Before we wrap things up, all right, we're at towards the end. Back to Ryushi, if I'm pronouncing that right. I want to give him a shout out on the video. I'll tag him. If anything, I'm gonna give him a follow too. This is the second time I use some of his research. It says Craig Wright, referenced as, of course, Satoshi. Let's double check my settings. In Chinese university textbook, listen to this. We covered this a long time ago on the old channel, but I want to re-share this. References Satoshi in Chinese university textbooks used in some of China's leading university states, mainland China, right? Not Taiwan. The textbook was authored by American economist Frederick Mishk, member of the Federal Reserve of Governors of the United States. So again, go back and watch my global layer 1 video. You could tie all that in too. If you want to nerd it out, most of us won't, and that's okay. No, there are other school textbooks worldwide, like universities such as Princeton, MIT, and other well-known colleges that reference Dr. Craig Wright as the creator of Bitcoin. Wow. The Chinese economics textbook used in some of Chinese leading universities states that the notorious, which if you know what notorious means by definition in Webster's dictionary, collegiate dictionary, notorious literally means well-known for something bad. I don't know if people know that. But Dr. Craig Wright is Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of Bitcoin. On page 11 of the Chinese translated economics book, quote, The Economics of Money, Banking, and Financial Markets, 6th edition, the N-Chain chief scientist was described roughly as an Australian financial geek who founded Bitcoin, a global encrypted electronic payment currency. The book was originally written in English and has been translated to Chinese. And on page 11, the authors say Wright is an, quote, Australian financial geek. I remember Cool Cat talking about this like a year or more ago, who created a peer-to-peer electronic cash network. The textbook was approved and translated by the Wuhan University Press and one of China's largest educational institutions, the Department of Finance of the Economics and Management School, EMS, uses, of course, the text. EMS describes itself as one of the largest economics schools in China, as well as the largest school under the WHU administration. The school's history dates back to 1893, when the Zhisheng Institute was established with a division for business studies, the earliest business education institution in the country. Now, here's some key people. I think this is Frederick Mishk, member of the Federal Reserve Board of Governors of the United States. Here's Dr. Craig Wright, all these people, right? Part of the BSV Association. All there. All right. Now, what I want to do now, before we wrap it up, check this out. 1 second. Make sure I'm good on this. Yeah. Yeah, check this out. So here's this book. All right. The Economics of Money, Banking, and Financial Markets. Look at this for a second. I will come out of the frame. I'll bring you to the next particular page. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's zoom in on this. Let's see it nice and big, just in case your boomer half is sooner sitting on his couch. He might be gone for the night. Anyway, look at this and look at this. The Economics of Money, Banking, Financial Markets. They open this thing up. Let's take you over here. I know this is all in, Mandarin, but when you get further down, and it might be kind of hard to see, but look what's underlined here. Sorry if I'm having connection problems. It says Bitcoin, and it underlines the big little thing, and right underneath that, Craig Stephen Wright. Yes, and that's kind of blurry, but it's right there. So, wow. That's big. And if anything, we're always trying to connect the dots. And for me, I have totally decided to take BSV way more serious than I did before. Before I was just like, I'll buy a handful of these. Okay. Not financial advice, but this is actually what I'm doing. So for me, it's to DCA more into it, whether it's like a couple a month or a handful a month, do whatever you guys got to do, right? It's never financial advice, just providing information. I want to state this. I do not know when this thing will go to the moon and so on. I have stated before that if we get a full victory for Dr. Craig Wright with the COPPA trial and so on, and you know, all these royalties and everything. It recognizes that with these smart contracts and so on, that, yeah, you know, the world declares that Dr. Craig Wright is in fact Satoshi Nakamoto, that you will see, like I showed in that first video, record high FOMO of more than anything in the history of crypto, in my humble opinion. That makes sense. Mainstream outlets report on it, not just crypto Twitter and so on. Okay, will report on it because, as we know, mainstream covers either the good news or the bad news. This would be huge news. Okay, so the way I look at it is, I don't know if it's going to be 2024, 2025, and beyond. This is honestly how I'm going to treat BSV. I'm going to treat it like kind of like how Michael Saylor claims that he's going to be treating his BTC. And for me, it's a long buy and hold, like really, really long. Like I look at BSV as like, hey, I'm coming into BTC and it's 2013. I also mentioned this kind of like what I do with Quant. Like, you know, Quant is a second chance at Bitcoin in 2013 or roughly around $100. But this is BSV we're talking about, and it's roughly 47 to 50. It's gone up a little bit, you know, and pulled back and so on. So you buy it, you hold it, and of course you pay attention to what's going on in the market and so on. But I really think that this could very well be, like as the saying goes, the real true Bitcoin. I understand we got to get to the point of trust. We need more of that mass adoption and so on. But how cool is it to be able to invest in something, you know, that still isn't quite there yet, but has the tech? Even if you don't like the idea of Craig Wright being Satoshi Nakamoto, and you're like, it's Hal Finney, or, you know, it's a group of people, put that aside for a second and recognize that the tech is amazing. You know, talking about infinite scalability, just about. Talk about these block size, there's no cap on that. Talk about, for instance, being a real threat to the traditional payment structures of the world. Everything we outline in regards to, you know, a global layer one protocol, you know, not even really having to rely completely on other blockchains and oracles and so on. It's a true threat to Ethereum. I mean, what's there not to like? Even if a person's like, you know, what is the debate? Honestly, I think for everybody, before we wrap this up, I think the main debate of why people don't get into BSV is for one simple reason, and you know it's true. It's because you're like, nah, fake Toshi. That's what's preventing you from this? Look at the tech, for crying out loud. That's just me. I'm not going to talk you guys into anything. We present information, do the deep dives, and so on. Shout out to everybody who has BSV. And I want to give the utmost praise and thanks to our brother Cool Cat Crypto. Because you want to know something? I think me and a lot of other people didn't take them too serious at first. And then there was just something about BSV all the time. He was so passionate about it all the time. I thought to myself, all right, you know, if this guy's this passionate about BSV, I'll look more into this thing. And I was so glad that I did. My last bag was roughly in the $25, $27 area. I doubt I'll ever be able to see that again. This is a massive crash, but we will continue to cover BSV. All right. That concludes the long deep dive about BSV. We now will be getting into the stellar coverage of the night. There's a little bit of extended coverage tonight. Some people say, oh, it's WrestleMania. It's not WrestleMania quite yet. Okay. So we're going to kick it back to the comments because we definitely need to do so. And the stellar coverage is not super long, but I will be writing up a little, you know, research article on X. So anyway, I thought I'd throw that out there. All right, let's get back into the comments because we really got to get into it. And let's see where we're at. I don't know what this is about, but that's cool. OG Crypto, Mr. Gangsta. Says BSV ETF is very important. That's amazing. And let me tell you about the days of way back. No, I'm kidding. OG Crypto, man, now you guys got me hooked on BSV. I just try to provide information. You guys can take it as you will. You know, it's not a shill. It's just research. You know. All right. Wow, on BSV. Yes, absolutely. Stay hydrated. I am. It's just Got this fan, sometimes kind of draws out my throat. So I am hydrated though. It's just, you know what I mean? It's just when you talk and present, that's what happens. So BSV Diamond Hands from Gray Fox, welcome. So Bobby Townsend, welcome back. Gray Fox, welcome. Glad to have you here. Hope to see more of you. Guys, always welcome anybody that's a newcomer. And if you're not a newcomer and I missed you last time, I want to go ahead and formally welcome you. Even if you're a BSV Maxi, whatever the case be, we do appreciate you being part of our community and dropping out and in. Yes, hello. Is it Gray Fox you're looking for? You guys know what I'm talking about. Well, I know, Richie. That's a little old weird thing we say here. Elon Muff says Quant just moved itself into his top hold. Nice. Will Quant keep moving up? Some people say, well, no, it's not going to do that. They're just going to take profits and they're just going to dump on everybody. No, I'm kidding. Man, the chaos when people realize BTC is not the real Bitcoin. How about this, man? Can we all agree on this? Michael Saylor, you want to talk about somebody having an absolute fit. I mean, I would be having a massive, fit, right? Baby. Yes, thank you, Edward Vincent. John Francis, how high do you think UNT can go? That's to Elon. Okay. What is that? What in the hell is that? Hold on, let me see. Let me zoom in. Oh, okay. You got a tat on your hand with your knuckles. Oh, Raider Nation. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that, John Leon. All right. And good to have you here, John. All right. Let's see here. Yeah, all-time highs was about 450. I think minimum of 1,000. Elon Muff, 100K plus. It just depends. Yeah, I agree. How long you guys are looking on the hold? All right, let's see here. At the top of the 2017 bull run, according to Laurent Commission, merci beaucoup. We have more footage for you. 28 people are only here. You want to make sure you stay for what's coming near. Not talking about near protocol. But he states at the top of the bull run, 2017, we had 700 billion total market cap. At the top of the 2021 bull market, we had 3 trillion total market cap. So that was 4+ increase. Get ready for 240K BTC. Merci beaucoup. Wow, I know. I gotta have some fun, guys. Come on, right? Look, it's not Le Grand Commission. It's Le Grand. I know. But we've been doing this for a couple years now. Anyway, we are still talking about BSV. We're almost done. We are done, actually. Now this next bull run can be even more aggressive because the big institutions are coming in. True. What happened to Cash Cats? You know what? I was thinking about that the other day. I need to reach out to him. Maybe he doesn't like us talking about BSV. I don't know. But I'll reach out to him and see why he hasn't been here for a while. I think BTC will max out at 100,000 from there. Collapse, utility projects take over. That could happen. Yes, BSV, I had enough of XRP, honestly. Yeah, people get impatient with that, and I understand how that goes. But it's a long-term hold with that too. And Gray Fox says BSV. Anyway, what wallet are you using for BSV? I'm trying to get something in regards to cold storage. You're using Rock Wallet, so that would be the one I probably look into then. We did talk about CentB in the past, but I didn't get further into it. Cardano and Algo will reach $1 before XRP. I don't know about that, but you never know. All right. Look at BS Lunch from Shigun 2. Welcome. And Cadena. I know about Cadena. Boom. All right. Let's get into the next topic. Next topic we have tonight, even though it's only 32 people here, that's okay, is basically Stellar. And I'm going to pull up the branding for that. Excuse me. All right, let's pull up the branding for some Stellar. All right, if I can just find it. There it is. Always like that one. It matches. Matches my background. All right. So it's just a brief little coverage of that. And let's get into it. So let me close out some tabs here because we're done with that. All right. So what exactly do we have in regards to this? Well, we have quite a bit. So it is called Cinco. No, not uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis. It is Cinco. What is Cinco? Well, Cinco has integrated with global crypto to cash service powered by MoneyGram and, of course, Stellar. It made recent news on December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day, 82 years ago, right? Cinco integrates with global crypto to cash service. I just mentioned that. And they are the global digital payments wallet, according to this article. They have announced an integration with its first of its kind global crypto to cash crypto and on-off ramp service for digital wallets, launched, of course, by MoneyGram. We know that MoneyGram is a leading global financial tech company and, of course, connects world's communities. We understand the whole connection to Stellar. The expansion, on the other hand, is another step forward, bridging the gap between physical and digital currencies in a way that has not been done before at scale, because we're always talking about scalability. This integration aims to provide Cinco users with seamless, safe, and efficient solution for cross-border transactions, further enhancing the digital wallet's, of course, capabilities. Powered by, of course, Stellar and MoneyGram, a vast global retail network, Cinco specifically, these users that use the platform can load their digital wallets to access the digital economy or even cash out other digital currencies to increase the utility of their holdings, hence the term on and off ramps. By integrating with MoneyGram's extensive global network, Cinco users will now have access to even wider range of international money transfer options, making sending and receiving funds across borders more convenient and affordable more than ever. The bottom line is this. This is another example of the key towards mass adoption, creating certain apps for the mainstream that can be easily accessed and used. Obviously, you can get this service that's now on the Cinco platform, and you can download it on both the Google Play Store and also the Apple App Store. How cool is that? All right, getting more into this, something I want to share with you guys, okay? So basically speaking, we are Stellar XLM holders, are we not? Yes, we are. So this whole thing with Cinco, this specific partnership, why is it so significant for us? Right? I'd be asking that. Well, it's significant for a few different reasons, several reasons. Keep in mind, bridging the gap between physical and digital currency, this particular partnership aims to facilitate seamless conversions between, of course, cash, cryptocurrency, and also for the use of international transactions, hence the whole thing with MoneyGram. This is achieved through, of course, obviously MoneyGram. And we know that when it comes to MoneyGram, they are a global financial company. They use Stellar's blockchain tech. This integration can potentially improve accessibility, conversions, and also create a convenience for users who want to send and receive money across borders. Hence why the term Stellar for cross-border payments, not just Ripple. You know, I like Ripple. What about the whole thing of expanding the reach of Stellar's ecosystem? We should mention that, right? So Cinco's user base itself can now access the benefits, of course, of the Stellar network. And this is basically also going to include its low transaction fees and, of course, fast settlement times. In my opinion, that is utility in motion through Stellar's tech. Some people say, well, okay, well, is that XLM or is that actually USDC? I think it's a combination of both. This can further drive adoption and growth, of course, for Stellar. True. Now, what about boosting Cinco's offerings? Because, I mean, as much as we want this just to benefit us as Stellar holders, in reality, we should also recognize what's going on with Cinco. By integrating with Stellar, Cinco itself can offer its users a wide range, of course, of features and services. And this is going to allow Cinco to be more competitive in, of course, the digital wallet market. At the end of the day, there's all sorts of different digital wallets. But if you see more examples of it all leading back to Stellar, that's a big win for us as in Stellar holders. All right, what about the potential for future innovation? Again, I'd be asking about that. Well, this partnership specifically could lead to the development of a new and innovative financial products and services that leverage the combined strengths, of course, of Stellar's blockchain tech and, of course, even Cinco's digital wallet platform. It's a win for both. Overall, keep in mind, Cinco Stellar partnership does, in fact, have the potential to significantly impact the way people send and, of course, also receive money around the world, not just, European Union or United States and so on. But it's also going to allow things to be easier, faster, cheaper for many, many people around the world to move money and, of course, across borders. It's also going to lead to the development of new and innovative financial products and services. And just to give you an idea about this, here are, of course, some additional examples, details that are definitely relevant and should get mentioned. So 4 key things, okay? The partnership was, in fact, announced in October. So that wasn't that long ago. Cinco, of course, is a digital wallet platform. It allows users to store, send, receive a variety of cryptocurrencies. True. Stellar, of course, as we know, is a blockchain platform that is designed to facilitate low-cost payments. At the end of the day, what's the point of having all this blazing fast stuff going on if it's going to be expensive, right? MoneyGram, on the other hand, as we know, is a global financial services company, and they do, in fact, provide money transfer services to customers in over 200 plus countries and, of course, their respectable territories. Now, while it's still too early to understand the long-term impact of this particular partnership, keep in mind this has the potential to be very, very significant. And if anything, that's why I wanted to bring it to you guys tonight. That was just a brief little Stellar coverage that we have. That concludes our Stellar coverage for tonight. The next thing we're going to get into is going to be Jasmy, and it is quite the outline. So if you appreciate Jasmy, smash the like, and if you didn't even appreciate any of the coverage tonight, please smash the like. It does help with the algorithm. And by all means, sub if you haven't done so. If you haven't subbed here before, you may not be the type of guy, I don't want to sub, I don't want the notifications, then anything, sub and turn off the notifications. But you know what? Not a sponsored channel or anything like that. Might be, anyway, because of the whole thing with a Lipple, but that's beyond the point. Anyway, let's get back to the comments. And we're going to take a brief pause to get into it. And then, of course, it'll be the Jasmy coverage. Awesome setup, by the way. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Really do appreciate that. LeGrand commission, Cardano moves like an elderly snail injured in the desert. Yeah, that's a great analogy. And it still moves faster than XRP. No, it does not. Why would you say that? How could it move faster than XRP? Are you talking about price? You must be referring to price, because you're definitely not talking about TPS, Mr. Dinu, aka Dingy, aka Dinu. Why do I always want to say it like that? Dinu? Anyway, I don't know. It's just kind of fun. Hoskinson is stressing out, probably involved in ETHgate. Probably. He used to be part of ETH, co-founder. All right. John Francis, as it forces to be, is holding XLM before a major blast off. I think there's going to be a major blast off, especially with Sorbonne. And we're not there yet, but I think, they go live. Do they go live December 31st? I don't know. They might delay it to January. Wherever the case be, I think it's going to be massive. All right, Dennis Little, welcome. Good to see you. I did see you on the X platform. I gave you a follow back. H-bar DAG would not be affected by Craig Wright's patents. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I hold H-bar. I don't hold DAG. I have nothing against DAG, but it might be the one that I regretted not getting into. but there's going to be a lot of things I regret not getting into. There's going to be ones that I hold that you guys aren't into that you might be regret too, right? I will say Clearpool is definitely one of those. But teach his own. All right. OG Crypto, Mr. Gangsta. Slam Dunk Max BSV then. Yes, thank you. And you got the Cartman thing going on. So
Slam Dunk Max BSV did. Now you want to put my key in? Hey, cheapers.
All right. Everyone likes Stellar blockchain, but not XLM token. Yeah, what's up with that? Stop right, Max. We love your coverage. Thanks, man. I'm reading just a few more comments and we'll get into the Jasmy. Cardano price versus XRP price. SPL, welcome back. Nice picture. I think you're at a Padres game. If not a Padres game, something like that. XLM and HBAR. All right. Cardano pumped harder. Talking about pumps. Okay. Obviously, you're not talking about the technical stuff like TPS. Calvin. Welcome back. Calvin with the T6 glider. Healthy retrade for crypto. Well earned and deserved. Yes. All right. Let's read this last comment. Anyone go on dealer websites and configure their McLarens, Lambo, Aston? No, I'm more of a classic car guy, but there's nothing wrong with that. All right, let's see here. Let's pull up the branding for some Jasmy. All right. And let's just get it. I'll get it to you. All right, there we go. If you're just now tuning in, we're going to start the Jasmy segment of the night. It is quite the outline that we have. And once again, I am collaborating with the one and only Mr. Mena Logwar with the research. Okay. And, I guess you could say a couple other people with honorable mention. So I want to present this. I'm going to go ahead and do this where you can see it. And we're actually going to start off with a combination of Dip Metaverse, Level 8. So kind of tie it all in, right? So there are going to be two key segments in regards to this. And then even from the beginning and at the end, we'll tie that in as well. So let's just jump into it. Here it is. This comes from the one and only Mr. Level 8. Shout out to him. Gone ahead and interpret this from Japanese into English. Level 8, what does he have? He says, did we mention life insurance? Think about this for a second. We know when it comes to Jasmy, they, of course, have entered into finance democracy. Now, we talked about the whole thing of, cross-border payments. Some people don't really take Jasmy serious in that regard yet. We talked about the whole thing of, could there be a Ripple Jasmy thing in the future? Yes. It's not right now. And we talked about how was that sell? Well, if you guys remember, and if you're new to the channel, go into the recorded video section, the collaboration with Will Fix, and it literally in the thumbnail says Ripple and Jasmy. It was a deep dive. Well, this isn't about cross-border payments necessarily, but life insurance. So Level 8 has something here. He says he's going to cancel his dollar-denominated insurance at the beginning of the new year. Why would he want to do that? Well, if anything, look what he also quotes here. This is straight from Dip Metaverse. And this is his 7th update in regards to his conversation with Horasan from when he visited the Jasmy management office in Japan. Yeah, I hate to let down all the Jasmy scam people out there. But basically, yeah, there's a real office, and he did go there, and he took some pictures. I don't know if he took video, but we do thank Mr. Dip Metaverse. So he says fan tokens. Harasan mentioned a couple times that they have a good relationship with Shoshisha, if I'm pronouncing that right, who has published certain anime manga such as One Piece. My friend Yanni, that's his name, Yanni. He's in DPG, my gaming group. He loves One Piece. He's always talking about One Piece. I'm not into anime. Hey, you're into anime? Great. There's nothing wrong with it. We all have our different interests. But he loves One Piece. So this really stood out for me. Naruto, also Bleach, and Dragon Ball. I know about Dragon Ball Z and all that. But this could also open up many doors for NFT fan tokens and allow for a pivot outside of the sports fan tokens. I am more bullish on this than I was for the sports fan tokens. I'm just going to throw that out there. I know some of you guys are not the biggest fans of Chili's. I still, of course, hold Chili's. But I do like the idea that Jasmy does do the whole thing with the fan tokens for Sega and Tosu, right, with sports. But when I think of mass adoption, to me, this stuff, One Piece, Naruto, Bleach, Dragon Ball Z, and all that, is so much more popular than obviously the Sega and Tosu fan token. You know, nothing against that team, but that's a reality. Harsan mentioned that one of the Jasmy team members used to work at PlayStation. We did that deep dive on the old channel. And of course, designed the logo. I went into all the details about that. Hara mentioned that they have a good relationship, of course, with PlayStation. Awesome, right? You want to hear things like that. This was covered before by others in the community. Hara re-emphasized it. That's good. You want to see him embrace it, not, try to hide away from it. On a side note, like he says, they could use the graphics department from Sony for fan token visual applications. Hara mentioned the shadows from the Sega and Tosu dancing video in the previous tweet. And also, Hara did mention that they will build use cases in the insurance and banking sectors. And listen to this, because now we're finally getting back to that outline about the whole thing of Ripple Jasmy. Just hear me out. Akanumu, what a name, sorry. San has a great deal of experience in this space from having worked, of course, at Aeon, if I pronounce that wrong, Aeon Bank and Aeon Life Insurance, which has some relationship, of course, with Sony Bank and Sony Life. Hara also told Kakanumu-san that he also had a good relationship with FSA in Japan, who also currently has a good relationship in FSA in Japan. Well, it's obviously Jasmy with Genki Oda because he's part of FSA and the JVCEA. And this last tidbit, Ando-san, as in Kunitake Ando, had a grand vision to have everyone in Japan use Jasmy coin in the future, and Ando-san is very confident in Jasmy's success. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. All right. If anything, we're going to explain a little bit more about this. So what I want to do now is I want to bring you guys to this, and basically speaking, it's going to be like a flow of beginning to end and going back and so on. So I don't want to jump around too much, but I do want to give credit where credit's due. Again, please give this guy a follow. This is Mena Lagwar. If you're using the X platform, he can be followed at Mena Lagwar, MENELAGUAR. He only has 289 followers. He deserves a way bigger following. Okay, so this is the guy that's teamed up with me with the research. Let's jump into a little bit more about this. So for one, excuse me, I'll turn off this fan for a second. We're going to jump into some of the key findings, of course, from Mena Lagwar. And in the process of doing so, there's quite a bit to basically mention. And, the way I look at it is I was just so impressed with all his key findings, and it really allowed us to kind of go down a rabbit hole, if you will, when it came to all this. So I'm just trying to pull this up and excuse me. Here we go. I meant to have this available earlier for you guys. I'll chop it up a little bit later, but basically speaking, there's a specific professor that you want to pay attention to, if you will. And he is part of the Sony team, basically speaking. So let me just pull this up for a second. I almost got it up here. Here we go. There we go. This is really, really good stuff, and I really appreciate the detailed information that Mena Lagwar basically has. That's the bottom line. Okay. So basically, it's like this. Okay. Sony CSL. All right. Computer Science Laboratories. I want you to hear this out for a second. It's a department that's connected to the technology, or all this technology in several different ways. For one, Sony CSL is a research and development organization. If you're wondering where I'm going with this, I'm reading the notes from Mena Lagwar, bringing it to you guys. And they aim to create a new scientific knowledge and innovative technologies that enrich, of course, human life. Now, that's basically everything that Jasmy is also looking to do, right? Again, guys, the bigger picture of Society 5.0, smart cities, all this stuff. Some of the research topics that Sony CSL is involved in are related to spatial sound technology, and here's some of those examples. Spatial sound field rendering. This is a technology that reproduces realistic sound field in a virtual or augmented reality environment. Some of you guys, of course, use your VR headsets. There's also AR, right, for augmented reality. It basically uses a combination of sound sources, microphones, and also, of course, headphones. Sony CSL has developed a method to optimize the sound field rendering for individual listeners based on, of course, their head and ear shapes, right? If you're like King Charles, you might need a little bit. Never mind. All right. And ear shapes as well as their preferences and, of course, moods. There's, of course, sound field analysis, and synthesis. Now, this specific technology analyzes and synthesizes sound fields from various sources, such as music, speech, environmental sounds. Sony CSL, of course, has developed and manipulated the spatial and timbral features of sound fields using deep neural networks and signal processing techniques. Also, keep in mind, this can be used for applications such as sound enhancement, sound separations, of course, sound synthesis, like we just said. Sound interaction design. This is a technology that designs and evaluates sound interactions for various scenarios. Obviously, gaming. These are gaming. This is a gaming headset, technically. This specific one is at 7.1, but I used to have another one in the past that was 7.1. So you guys are familiar with some of this stuff. But also, it creates education, entertainment. Sony CSL developed a method, you were not aware of it, to create and evaluate sound interactions that are engaging, expressive, meaningful, using combination of other user studies, prototyping, and also evaluation methods. Very, very true. These technologies are related to Sony's spatial sound. I know this is a lot to get into, and we'll show you some visuals here in a second. But it's related to Sony spatial sound technologies, basically, the bottom line. It is used for creating and delivering 360 reality audio and musical experience that relies on, or allows, I should say, users to immerse themselves into the whole thing of a three-dimensional sound field. Sony CSL research development can contribute to improving and expanding the range of Sony spatial sound tech, as well as creating applications for experiences of new users. All right, that's a lot to listen to, right? But how does this basically overlap with Jasmy, right? Like, get to the point. That's okay. I do appreciate the info from Menalogwar, but you got to keep in mind that, for instance, there is multiple people that are part of this. There's this guy, his name is Junichi Rikamoto. He's, of course, connected to AR, augmented reality. He conducted enhanced, perception of reality and creative immersive experiences. He was part of the directional auditory back in 2022. It's a brain-computer interface. I know it's a lot taken. Listen to me for a second. BSI that uses electrophallogram, I cannot pronounce this right, EEG, that we covered before, and is basically induced listening for auditory stimuli of different directions. Now, the goal basically is to explore the potential of using directional auditory perception for BCI applications. Basically speaking, that this tech was a concept of augmenting real world with virtual objects and characters that can interact with the user and environment. One of the features of living augmented reality is the use of spatial sound to create realistic and engaging scenarios. Augmented reality, at least back in 1999, had a system that allowed users to communicate through physical and even digital spaces while wearing a wearable device. The device can capture and even display visual and auditory information from surroundings, as well as generate synthetic sounds and image to augment reality. So I'm going to show you guys this for a second. Let me pull this up. And here's an example of this. And here we go. This is brain-computer interface using directional auditory perception. Give you some of those examples of what we just talked about, right? See how this is literally tracking everything this guy's doing. I guess his brain. It's an abstract using all this stuff tied into EEG. Okay. Getting back into this. All right, let me pull this up. Hiroki Kitano, who's this professor that I'm going to reference here in a brief minute, and Junichi Rikamoto are both prominent Japanese scientists, of course, who have worked at Sony Computer Science Laboratories, which is Sony CSL. They have collaborated on several projects related to artificial intelligence. And again, remember that, robotics, and even human-computer interaction. Now, according to Wikipedia, which, let's face it, is a good source for just general knowledge and so on. It's not a good source for providing like linked references and so on. At least for the collegiate level, they won't let you do that. But on his Wikipedia, Kitano is the head of Systems Biology Institute, SBI, all right, not SBI Japan, two different things. He's also the Senior Executive Vice President and Chief Technology Officer at Sony Group Corporation, Chief Executive Officer of Sony Research Inc., and also he is obviously part of Sony CSL. He is also a professor at Okinawa Institute of Science, and he's also recently talked about his vision of, helping AI scientists and how they will help revolutionize scientific discovery. According to Google Scholar, who is Rikimoto, who is a professor at University of Tokyo, fellow in Sony CSL, he has published many papers and topics, of course, on augmented reality, wearable devices, gesture interfaces, and so on. Some of the joint publications, and so he's just done a bunch of different books and whatnot. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you an actual picture of this, just a second, from Niantic Labs and also game developer. Hold on a second, let me pull that up. So here it is. Here's some of the stuff that he's like obviously worked on. Some of you guys are familiar with this. Back in February 15, 2022, Niantic and Sony collaborated with, of course, this audio AR augmented reality. There's a video about this. I'm not going to play that because it's not really needed. All right. But it talks about the head of mobile product business division, Sony product business group, Sony Corporation, linking Sony spatial sound technology with Niantic's game content, because we were talking about the whole thing of gaming. Quote, Sony is a global brand with a wide range of audio products, excellent audio, tech. Yeah, we know that, right? Getting back to this for a second, let me show you this other one real quick from the gamer side of things. So here it is from gamedeveloper.com. And again, just kind of like pounding it home just that much more. Not interested. Let me read on. Niantic and Sony partner to develop auditory AR tech. Again, just showing you that's from a different source, where they all agree that this is amazing technology in regards to augmented reality. All right. What I want to show you is a little bit more about this. And I know it's kind of hard to take this all in. It's a lot of information, right? About how it overlaps with Jasmy and whatnot. But basically speaking, Hiroki Kitano and Junichi Rikamoto are both prominent Japanese scientists who have, in fact, worked at Sony Inc., and they have collaborated on several projects related to artificial intelligence, robotics, and human-computer interaction. According to Wikipedia, all right, before we show you a nice little outline here, Kitano is the head of Systems Biology Institute, Senior Executive Vice President, Chief Technology Officer over at Sony Group Corporation, and also Chief Executive Officer over at Sony Research Inc. and CSL. He's also professor at Okinawa Institute of Science. I already mentioned that, apologize. But according to Google Scholar, all these guys are all tied into all these crazy things, and they have all this research and so on. Here's the thing from Wikipedia. Let me pull that up for a second. I'll show you a picture of what this guy looks like. All right. I know it's going a little bit later, but on the chopped up version, it'll be a little bit better. So here he is, born in 1961. I mean, shoot, how old would that make him? Basically, he's born in 61. He's like 60. Was he about 62? I imagine about 62-ish. Anyway, very, very robust background, right? Senior vice president, all this stuff that we talked about, right? Education, very impressive. Kyoto University, with the Carnegie Mellon. But what stands out is all this stuff that he did in regards to robotics, contributing to systems biology. I mean, just crazy stuff. These things that we're talking about in regards to like a lot of things that we talked about in the past and so on, all ties into the concept of Society 5.0 and basically what Jasmy's trying to accomplish. Now, what I want to do is obviously want to take you to a little bit more about this and show you this other guy as well. Jun Rikamoto. Let me pull that up as well. He's a professor of interfactually initiative in information studies at the University of Tokyo. And here is finally some of the juicy stuff. He's also the co-founder of Kujit. Now, the old channel, I covered the deep dive of the why Kujit was big for Jasmy. They're working obviously with Kujit. So that was already established. And a deputy director of the Interaction Laboratory of Sony Computer Sciences Laboratories. Rikamoto has published more than 100 research articles on the field of human-computer interaction. His work spans over the human-computer interactions, augmented reality. We already established that. In 1971, the age of 10, before personal computers existed, Rikamoto bought a textbook on computer programming. He would also write his own programs on paper, manage his results. So he's amazing. He's obviously a doctor of science from Tokyo Institute of Technology in 84, 86, and 96, respectively. A lot of background about him. He returned to Japan in 1994. Rikamoto started working for Sony Computer Science Laboratories. 5 years later, in 1999, he founded and directed the CSL's Interaction Laboratory. From 2000 to present, listen to this because this is part of that Jasmy connection. In 2007, Rikamoto became a professor of interfactually Initiative for Information Studies at the University of Tokyo. That same year, he co-founded Kujit, which obviously they got that thing going on with Jasmy. You can always go back to the old channel and view that if you want. Just don't subscribe over there. Anyway. Alongside two other researchers from CSL. Since 2011, Rikamoto has been a deputy director at Sony CSL. Now, here are some of his most notable research and inventions. Just hear me out for a second. He's got this thing where he published research papers such as mobileware and computing, VR, information visualization. Here's some of his work. Smart Skin. It's a sensor for the freehand manipulation of interactive surfaces. So remember how we talked about, what's it called? Morphiria? Talking about that thing that it will scan your finger, not your fingerprint, but your actual vein. Think about that for a second, right? So he's also part of that. How about a pick and drop, a proposal of new user interfaces for directly manipulating multiple computers, augmented surfaces, design users to interchange information between their devices, including laptops, digital table, wall displays. Interesting. Cybercode, a way to digitally tag objects with AR. And last, Gesturus, a gesture touch to device to interact with nearby computers via gesture commands. All part of what, guys? The Internet of Things. Think about it. Don't overthink it. All right. I'm going to jump back to this for a second. The reason why I want to point out all this to you is because there's a lot to obviously get into. And I think it's all worth pointing out. Now, here is this whole thing about OIST Professor Hiroki Katana elected as member of UN High-Level Advisory Board on AI. This is recent. Let me see if my settings are good. I'm going to share this with you, whether we have 24 people or 5. Always could chop it up later. So look at this for a second. He was elected as a member of a UN high-level advisory body on AI. One of the experts he supports is the international community's effort to govern artificial intelligence. Remember we talked about, for instance, with ISO TC 307, We have, for instance, working groups and the people that are tied into those working groups. Remember with ISO TC307, that quant network standard, we talked about specifically AI standards. So that's always something that's worth pointing out. But here he is. Wow, what a thumbnail, right? Dr. Hiroki Kitano, adjunct professor at OIST, became one of the members of the high-level advisory body on AI launched on October 26, not that long ago, guys, by United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres to examine how AI should be governed. Interesting. Because you want to know something else? On another previous one where I talked about how Binance needs to take Jasmy out of the innovation zone, I mentioned Kunitake Ando, that connection to JIN, how he's part of the chairman advisory panel, if you will, and how JIN, Japanese or Japan Innovation Network, is already an ISO standard, right? Through ISO, was it 56002? I don't know, it might be 52002, I can't remember. But that particular standard. So they, as in Kunitake Ando, have already been exposed to ISO standards. Now enter into this whole thing of the UK, and if anything, I think it's pounds on even that much more on why in the future Jasmy will need to work with Quant for the ISO TC307 standard, because this guy and where he's positioned. So look at this for a second. Look at what it says. October 26th, United Nations Secretary General, right? You said that, how AI should be governed. The body expected to play a unique role in making AI work for humanity with its global, interdisciplinary, and gender balanced membership consisting of 38 experts from 33 countries from various fields, including government, private sector, research, academia. I mean, academia would definitely be not only this guy, this professor, but also Kunitake Ando, right? Remember, he heads up a particular university. I don't know if you guys remember that stuff. But in civil society organizations, as well as permanent member of the UN Secretariat, expected to play a unique role in helping AI work for humanity. So we talk about Jasmy having these guys that are the plugs, or the connectors, and so on. This guy is definitely somebody that shines and stands out. Some of the activities of the body include building a global scientific consensus on risk and challenges, explores ways to use AI for sustainable development goals, strengthen international cooperation on AI governance. Professor Kitano joined OIS's predecessor, the Okinawa Institute of Science and Technology Promotion Corporation, in 2009 as a principal investigator. Since then, as a principal adjunct OIST, he has led various cross-disciplinary projects, including all these ones you see here, and of course, some of the things I told you about, you know, what he had going on with Sony. Back in, what's it say, May of 2023, not that long ago, he also served as a member of the AI Strategy Council convened by the Japanese government. My God. In response to appointment by the United Nations, listen to this is good info and recent. In response to that appointment to the United Nations high-level advisory body on AI, Professor Kitano said that the development of AI-related tech will further accelerate the pace of progress and will have an unprecedented impact on us. At OIST, we are pursuing a project to develop, think about this, a project to develop AI scientists. They'll be able to make scientific discoveries in a highly autonomous manner and fundamentally change the way science is conducted. We are now entering industrial revolution, hence the fourth industrial revolution. Proper development, governance, impactful tech, including the realization of such AI systems, will be, of course, crucial. Very significant that the United Nations established a body for this, and you can believe that it is his honor and great responsibility to be one of the members to be appointed to the co-chair of one of its working groups. One of its working groups. Took a while to get to that, right? But I mentioned these things for a reason. I mentioned the ISO TC307, right? AI is part of that working group. They have multiple working groups. And where he's positioned with like where this is at in the world. You know, was it the UK, also the United Nations? I mean, it just, I don't know. Say what you want. The research, as the saying goes, trumps FUD 110%. So some people will say, well, there's no real quant connection. Okay. But we have established that, for instance, Jasmy is already connected to JIN, obviously through Kunitake Ando. And Ando already has experience with ISO. They're already certified ISO with JIN. Then, of course, there was everything we talked about before. So to me, this further solidifies the whole thing of ISO TC 307 because boom, there you go. Just throwing that out there. All right. There's a lot more to this. And if anything, I know it seems like it's kind of a long show tonight, but I might not be here tomorrow, so might as well get into it. And you can always watch the chopped up version anyway. So basically, it's like this. And I'd be asking the same question if I was you. Has Professor Hiroki Kitano and Kunitake Ando of Jasmy, former Sony executive, ever worked together on anything while at Sony? Great question. Basically, don't have anything solid in that regard, but what I do have is very interesting and peculiar, right? And that is basically this. Hiroki Kitano did, in fact, work at Sony Computer Science Laboratories, CSL, from 1992 to 2002. His research areas, of course, obviously include AI, robotics, and systems biology. He co-founded several companies, including Sony CSL Research Laboratories and what is called as RoboCup, not RoboCop, like the movie. Now, in regards to Kunitake Ando, right? Ando-san worked at Sony from 1989 to the year 2000. So there is that time period where their paths could, collided or came across each other. And some people say, well, that's kind of a stretch. I mean, just because you have a guy working on, not these specific people, but just because you have a guy working on a Sony PlayStation or a Walkman or Discman doesn't mean they work together. Hey, great point. But were you aware that from 1989 to 2000, some of Kunitake Ando's research areas did, in fact, listen to this, include AI, natural language processing, and even machine translation. So I'm willing to bet they did work together. Ando was also a co-chair of the Japanese Society for what? Artificial Intelligence, which is called JSAI, because it's Japanese Society for Artificial Intelligence, SIG on natural language processing. So I'm literally willing to bet that they did do some work in the past. Based on their overlapping periods at Sony itself and research interests, it is possible that they did in fact collaborate on projects. However, of course, there's not specific evidence. And of course, I'm not going to state that I have proof, but I'm willing to bet that's the case. Now, keep in mind, if we're going to go further into it and connect the dots in regards to, you want to call this an investigation or whatever, right? Sony CSL publications. This database contains publications by researchers, of course, at Sony CSL, hence why you saw this particular professor, including Kitano and also Ando. Basically, one could say that if you search for papers for both their names as authors, you will, in fact, I should say, see that they work together, maybe at some point if you decide to nerd it out. Am I willing to spend days on research for that? No, not really. But what about conference proceedings? Well, both Kunitake Ando and Professor Kitano have presented papers at numerous conferences. We could very well search for their presentations if we chose to do so. We could try to find the same conferences, see if they might have been, their collaboration at that particular point, if a person was going to do that. I am not willing to spend that much extra research to do that, but if somebody wanted to, they could do that. Maybe somebody from the Jasmy research community wants to do that. Awesome. Go for it. See if you can find out some info. I will welcome it and I'll cover it again. Of course, I looked in news articles. I didn't see any, but of course, researchers can find various news articles if they want to be more extensive about it, to find their work at Sony, see if there's any mentions of them, of course, working together. I already tried doing that, didn't find anything, but that's what's going on with that. Now, what about some of the connections in regards to Professor Hiroki Kitano and, of course, Jasmy specifically. Well, this isn't proof, but from what I saw on the rumor mill, it's basically like this. And again, I wish I could prove this. I can't. But, hopefully somebody from the research community can verify this. But apparently, Professor Hiroki Kitano served on the advisory board of Jasmy from June of 2017 to February 2019. I don't know if that's exactly true. I wish I had a little bit more to share with you, like some evidence, but it does suggest that he may have been involved in the early development of the project and provided, of course, strategic guidance, because let's face it, both him and Kunitake Ando working in AI in the past, time frame of when they worked for Sony matches up. You also got to keep in mind in regards to research collaboration, while there's no publicly available sources that will confirm or deny direct research collaboration between Professor Kitano and Jasmy, you have to keep in mind there is expertise, or his expertise, in the form of AI and data science. It's possible that Professor Kitano may have very well collaborated with Jasmy on projects related to these specific areas. Specifically, I would say AI. And if anything, look where Jasmy's going into with this layer 2 AI blockchain solution. Now, both Professor Kitano and Jasmy do share interests, obviously, in AI and blockchain, like just mentioned. And they do have a strong interest in the potential of AI and blockchain tech. Jasmy, of course, aims to leverage these technologies, true, to create a secure and transparent data-driven society, while Professor Kitano has conducted extensive research and produced many different publications and so on. That's even referenced from the new things of what Sony's trying to do, and I'll show you that here in a bit. He has conducted extensive research on AI applications in various fields. This shared interest suggests that they may have interacted or collaborated, of course, in this area. I'm going to lean towards yes, but we won't know this. Could be due to NDAs and so on. Now, there is, of course, limited public information, and that's just the way it goes. But there's some points to consider for you, me, and so on as Jasmy enthusiasts and holders and so on. So for one, Kunitake Ando, or not Kunitake Ando, excuse me, Professor Kitano. His research interests are broad and encompass various aspects, of course, of AI. Of course, includes robotics, systems biology, and computational life sciences. It is possible that his connections, of course, to Jasmy is more specific to one or more of these areas. Further information about the relationship between Professor Kitano and even Jasmy may be available through, like I said, private sources or official company documents. It just might be restricted because of NDAs. And that's just the way I look at it. Another thing I was going to mention basically is the whole thing of, being part of the advisory board, right? For Jasmy from June 2017 to February 2019. I really try to find some good information in regards to that, but I wasn't able to get anything solid. Okay. And this is from hopping around all sorts of different, like Reddit and, Discord, you name it, right? But basically speaking, you got to keep in mind there's several sources that do support the information. And one of the main sources claims, and I haven't done the Wayback Time Machine. And if anything, I don't have an old white paper that was like revised. If somebody does from the community, that'd be awesome. But from what's mentioned, according to the 2018 Jasmy white paper, is that it lists Professor Kitano among the advisors on page 11. I went to the current white paper. I didn't see nothing jack diddly squat about that. So again, I wish I could have it. But while the time frame of his involvement is not explicitly stated, keep in mind the publication date suggests his association with Jasmy predates, of course, 2018. I mean, just because it doesn't show in the white paper doesn't mean it's not there with a revised one. In regards to his website, excuse me, Professor Kitano website does mention involvement with Jasmy as an advisor in the past. Again, I haven't gone on to the Wayback Time Machine to verify this. Again, I didn't want to make this like 10 hours worth of research. Some of our own research guys from the from crypto Twitter can look into if you want. But the specific dates are not mentioned, and it corroborates his association supposedly with the company. Supposedly, in regards to media articles, there have been articles that were published around 2017 and 2018 that report on Professor Kitano's role as an advisor to, of course, Jasmy. And if that is true, that is huge. These articles might not directly mention Jasmy, but some people do kind of connect the dots because they feel as though he did provide additional supporting evidence in regards to AI. There's apparently other archived information. I have looked more into the white paper. I can't pull it up. So there is that. It is not a nothing burger, but it's out there if somebody wants to look more into it, is what I'm trying to say. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump over to some of this profile about him for a second. Here it is. Here's his profile. This is straight from AI.Sony. It's a particular short biography on Hiroki Kitano, provided also from Google Scholar. Here's his profile. I already named off most of the stuff. It talks about some of his publications, has a blog. It goes way, way back, right? You can see pretty much all this stuff, press releases, all this stuff, right? All right. What I want to show you is a video, because you guys kind of need a video instead of just old Max harping about this stuff. So I want you to listen to this, and it talks about learn more about Sony and the type of people we are looking for to join our team. Interesting. All right, let's go ahead and play this. Here we go.
We are interested in working with people that are eager to learn from others. We care about people. Like Sony is a company that cares about the artists and creators. And I think that's been the case throughout its history. And I think that's just the part of our DNA is a uniqueness to us, and it's our strength. I feel that's very important.
When we hire people for the organization, the things that I look for the most are people who are intelligent, work well in a team, and are highly creative. I find the team is most successful when people have the ability, when they run into a problem, to think of many ways to try to solve it, and then discuss and debate the merits of each direction, and then agree and go forward as a team in one of those directions.
So people, instead of working for the company, is working in the company with their missions and with their dreams. And that is definitely the train here that we need to capture. That makes us realize how important it is to provide an ideal workplace for the people to work here so that they can stay with us longer. People share the same values, share the same purpose, and that's the best way of collaborating.
Best way at collaborating. I don't know. I find this stuff to be pretty interesting. Maybe some people don't, and that's okay. All right. This is a part that I want to get right into as well. On this part, we'll take a brief pause because we need to do so, because there's quite a bit left in regards to this deep dive. So let's get back into the comments. I understand there's not a lot of people left because it's 3 hours and 18 minutes into it, and that's okay. OG Crypto at 9:58, I guess, or 9:44 says, at least you can stake Cardano. Jasmy no scam. All right. Didn't you? When these people are that old, are they really pushing things in the future or a bit disconnected? I think it's different with different cultures. So if you talk about Jasmy, because the way I look at it is it's their legacy. It's all part of this whole thing of honor and so on. These guys wanted to be remembered when it comes to past. We talk about generational wealth. I mean, you think about it, guys. Some of these guys have if you're watching the Joe Rogan Experience, his podcast, and how he's sharing with Elon Musk. I almost said Elon Muff. Hey, check out this really cool samurai sword from the 1500s. Those swords are passed down generation to generation. What about being able to pass down a legacy of how you were part of a bigger picture of things you know, of the, you know, fourth industrial revolution. So yeah, I would definitely say, man, you know, they are pushing things in the future. But I understand you're sticking out your tongue, that's okay. If the utility run never hits crypto, it means it was a very long scam. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be the case, though. I don't think it's a scam. I mean, there's some scams, obviously, like, you know, rug pulls and stuff like that. But to say it's all a scam, no. And, you know, it's kind of like going out in the ocean. You know, it's like we got to be careful out there. We can't just go out there in a regular sailboat and wish for the best. You know, we have to steer through all sorts of things, or we're going to walk through the Amazon jungle. It's like we got to be well prepared for that. You know what I mean? There's going to be, we're going to run into some things. You know what I mean? All right, let's see here. Dyor makes me think sometimes they want to crash the banks. People try to escape the banks by going to crypto. The elites F up, the crypto too. We are wrecked and the great reset is complete. You know what sucks? Every time I mention the great reset, I bet you anything that when this video gets chopped up or whatever you want to call it, YouTube will put a little disclaimer about the great reset. It's so weird. Anyway, losing quite a bit of people. Anyway, I don't know if it's my connection or what. All right, let's see here. I'll read the last few comments. The guy's not showing up on X, Logwar. Yeah, he's there. Let me show you a second. Let me show you. You be followed at MENELAGUAR. Mena Logwar. All right. Yeah. All right. Just type in at MENELAGUAR. All right, Dyor. I blocked the Jasmy promoter guy, kept spamming nonstop, and went full political. Jasmy promoter guy. Huh. I think I know who you're talking about. Anyway. All right. Have a good night, Mr. Dyor. And special OG Theosaurus. Yeah, I gotta say like Mike Tyson. All right. Let's try to wrap up the last bit of this. Let me see what I got. All right. Yes, let's jump to this. Turn the branding back on. And then after that, we'll wrap up things. All right. Here we go. Check this out. Here's this feature from August 9th. I think we shared this a while back, maybe from a different source. But it goes on to mention former Sony execs laying down data security gambit to tech giants. When Kazumasa Sato was assigned to Sony's Corp Information Technology section, was a fresh economics graduate in 1980. He was baffled. Look at this for a second. This is good stuff. Maintaining information system using IBM mainframe computers was not precisely what he envisioned. But the funny thing is, Jasmy, of course, ends up using Hyperledger Fabric through what IBM provides anyway. Gives a little history, right? But here's some of these bigwigs, right? You obviously have Kazumasa Sato in the beginning and these two other gentlemen. The one I want you to put focus on is the guy on the far left right here, okay? You may be wondering why that is, and if anything, I'm going to share why that is here in a brief moment. So I want to get into this for a second. Let me see. I'm going to pull this up. Oh, yeah, about the bank. Hold on. Yeah, that guy on the far left is Hidehiko, Kakenuma. He is part of the wealth experience launching new business, including Sony Bank Inc. Again, excuse me, back to the whole beginning of the outline. Because we were talking about finance democracy and, you know, obviously the whole thing of, insurance, like, level 8 was talking about. But it says now serves as executive officer in charge of marketing at Jasmy. Now, of course, a lot of people have criticized Jasmy not doing enough of the marketing and so on. But he now serves as of last August. So will things change? I don't know. Maybe some people feel as though not much. But the emergence of blockchain tech is a really important factor. The 56-year-old executive said, with With that, we can create a system that gives back to users when dealing with personal data. With various options under consideration, Sato says his ultimate goal is to combine his tech with AI. Again, everything we're talking about tonight comes into full circle, in my opinion. Says, while interest in generative AI such as ChatGPT is booming, he said there is always a risk that if one enters sensitive information, it could be absorbed into the system and lead to unintended data leak. Hence the whole need for a PDL. The combination of Jasmy's data security tech and AI could create a kind of AI optimization for personal use without worrying about data security. Yeah. Look at this for a second. Such an AI could be installed into various devices such as cars, smart speakers, among other things, he added. Remember how we talked about this with that professor at the beginning? I mean, think about it. I mean, just because it doesn't say they're connected, does definitely seem like they're working on the same thing, right? I think we agree on that. If people feel threatened by exposing their personal data, they become reluctant to utilize data, he said. But if we were able to manage our own data on our own, it would surely make the world more fun and convenient. Interesting. All right, let me take you to, let me share something, some of my notes with you guys. So basically, it's like this. We talked about this whole thing of Sony Bank Inc. Okay. I want you to understand that, you know, there is significance in regards to Sony Bank Inc. For one, Sony Bank Inc. holds a significant position in the Japanese financial landscape, or of course, or I should say for several different reasons. They are a pioneer in online banking. Back in 2001, that's when they were founded. Sony Bank was one of the first online banks in Japan. I just love how it mentions first. Jasmy, the first, crypto in Japan. Sony Bank, first online bank in Japan. Enter into, the whole thing of who you have, for instance, enter in Hidehiko Kakanuma, who's part of Sony Bank Inc. I mean, when we tie everything together, all these guys are the pioneers and the first of their kind. It's very, very interesting. Anyway, I throw that out there. So, yes, one of the first online banks in Japan offering a convenient alternative to traditional brick and mortar institutions. This early adoption of digital technology helped pave the way for the growth of online banking in the country. So in my opinion, the whole thing of, people say Jasmy has no experience when it comes to finance democracy is absurd. They have a bunch of experience if you're willing to take more of the deeper dive and connect the people. Here's the plug. Here's Connect. All right. What about Sony Bank in regards to a market leader in innovation? Today, as we speak, Sony Bank is one of the largest online banks in Japan. That is so cool because now we could tie in the whole thing of, do we get to the path of mass adoption, and especially when it comes to finance democracy? Do you have a plug other than Genki Yoda? The answer is what? Back to Mr. Hidehiko Kakanuma. It's going to take me a while to get used to saying that name. Okay? So they have a large customer base, strong reputation for innovation. They have implemented various technological advances, including, listen to this, AI-powered customer service and mobile banking solutions. How cool is that? They do have a focus on customer satisfaction. Sony Bank consistently ranks high in customer satisfaction surveys, receiving accolades for its user-friendly interference, responsive customer service, and competitive rates. This commitment to customer satisfaction has contributed to the success of a highly competitive Japanese banking market. That is so cool. Because if anything, what about all the retail criticism that Jasmine gets about not doing enough marketing? If this guy, Mr. Kakanuma, is tied into this and he is now the new head of marketing, I think that's a step in the right direction. All right, Sony, the Sony Bank, they have a subsidiary of a global conglomerate. Been talking a lot tonight. As a subsidiary of Sony Financial Holdings, which itself is part of the multinational conglomerate of Sony Group, Sony Bank benefits from the resources and brand recognition of its parent companies. This strong financial backing, of course, allows them to continue innovating and expanding their services. They have, of course, a contribution to the financial inclusion. Again, back to the whole thing of Jasmy and finance democracy. By offering its services exclusively online and eliminating the whole need for physical branches, Sony Bank helps to make banking more accessible to people, of course, in rural areas or which there's limited mobility. I think that's big. I think Jasmy's going to do some huge things because of this plug, this connect. You know, we talk about financial inclusion. We talk about specifically when it comes to the likes of Stellar, right? Giving access to the unbanked. Sony Bank in itself provides access to the unbanked in an online way. So these rural areas, limited mobility, being able to contribute to the greater financial inclusion and promote a more equitable financial system, of course, in Japan is a massive win where Jasmy is going here in the future with finance democracy. All right, in conclusion, how does this all impact the financial banking industry? Well, the success of Sony Bank has significant impact, of course, on the traditional banking industry in Japan. And if anything, it has led to increased competition and innovation, of course, in the sector, forcing traditional banks to improve their digital offerings. Think about that, digital offerings, and offering customer service to stay basically competitive. Overall, Sony Bank Inc. is, in fact, a significant player in the Japanese financial landscape, and basically the global backing and customer satisfaction that contributes to financial inclusion is going to be massive, and this impact on the traditional banking industry as well is going to be huge. All right, what I'm going to do now is I want to show you on this next part the patents of inventor Hidehiko Kakanuma and why it's so significant. So we've been covering a lot about patents today. Talked about Dr. Craig Wright on the BSV segment. Now this is back to Jasmy. Hidehiko Kakanuma, of course, has filed for various patents to protect the following inventions. This list includes patent applications as well as pending patents in the United States Patent Office. So look at this for a second. Information processing device, video playback method, program video playback system. Data patent. Look at this. February 20th, 2018. The signee, Sony Corporation, filed on October 3rd of 2013. It was a grant. Who's part of this? Hidehiko Kakanuma and also Kazumasa Sato. You have some of these other ones. Look at the dates. Filed in 2013, published 2014. Kakanuma and Sato. And just numerous examples of both of these guys. Numerous examples. Okay? Even back to 2002, so on and so forth, right? So I'm going to show you some more information. And I'm going to take you to the piece that was written up about him, shared from Neo X Tricks. So shout out to Neo. Here it is. This is good stuff. Mr. Hidehiko Kakanuma, managing director of Jasmy, said about blockchain former telecommunications analyst during his career at Sumitomo Bank and Sony, he followed the development of internet since its inception. As the internet grew, he realized it was an innovative technology, blockchain. Therefore, he predicted just like the internet changed the world, blockchain would also have a huge impact on the world. He thinks that a phenomenon similar to the IT revolution will be repeated with the advent of course, blockchain. This is why we decided to take the challenge of entering as quickly as possible. Interesting. Okay, there, of course, there he is. Let's jump back. Let's go ahead and highlight some of the key patents. So here we go. Back to this whole thing. And here is some of the recent patents. Instead of just like, Max is just going to give me something from 2011 or 1992 or something. No. Vehicle control apparatus. Abstract. Provide a vehicle control that can correctly determine that lane changing is possible in a situation by accelerating or decelerating. An ego vehicle can perform the lane changing without interfering with an obstacle that raises comfortability for the driver. in the vehicle control apparatus, target trajectory, performing lane changing under restriction if not entering an entry prohibition region is calculated. A determination section determines whether or not lane change is possible based on at least information on a position of the ego vehicle in the target trajectory. In this case, where it's determined the lane change is possible, the ego vehicle is made to change lane by a use of target trajectory. Look what this is filed. January of this year, 2023. Publication date, not that long ago, October 12th, 2023, right? And remember how we were talking about that one professor from earlier? Yeah, Hiroki Kitano. Interesting. Can I give other examples? Yes, I can. Here's one as recent as August 31st. Applicant Mitsubishi Electric Corporation. Once again, Kitano, Professor Kitano. Another one, August 4, 2020. Hiroki Kitano. Vehicle control device, satellite positioning, all the stuff that we've been talking about for a while. So there's so many examples here. Might make your head spin, right? On and on and on and on. All right. So we showed the guy from Jasmy. What about the whole thing back to Professor Hiroki Kitano? Well, what is the most significant patent for this guy, Kitano? Well, Professor Hiroki Kitano is a renowned figure, as we know, of course, in the field of robotics, system biology, obviously AI, but more specific is some of his notable patents, and his patent number 6232722, robot behavior control system and method. This patent introduced Kitano's pioneering work of symbiotic evolution, where robots and their environments co-evolve to improve their capabilities, lay the foundation for self-organizing and adaptive robotic systems, influencing research in areas like swarm robotics and AI. This guy's connection to the other particular guy from Qujit, and Qujit is working with Jasmy. So there is that. What about this patent? U.S. patent number 9165429, method and system of stimulating and analyzing biological systems. It originally started in 2015. The patent describes Kitano's cellular POTS model, CPM, computational framework for simulating complex biological processes like cell migration and tissue development. CPM has, of course, become widely used tool in system biology research and drug discovery. He also has this other thing of a method and system of generating, evaluating hypothesis and biological systems back to 2014. But my point is, he has all sorts of different examples. Another thing that was recent was 2019. He has a method for aiding human decision making. The patent describes Kitano work as AI-assisted decision support systems, which combine human expertise with machine learning algorithms to improve decision making in various fields like healthcare and finance. Oh my gosh. You know how we talked about healthcare with, especially with Jasmy, you know, and the whole thing with the CARE project. CARE project is also partnered with Ripple. But healthcare and finance, interesting. AI decision support systems with healthcare and finance. So it's like Jasmy, basically, you have the whole connection of Internet of Things, IoT, and then you also have that whole connection of finance democracy. And then when you see something like this that literally has a patent that was made in 2019, it's like, wow. You know, I think these guys are all working together for the greater scheme of things. And what's another thing that we know? Former Sony executives, once again, and the time frame of when Professor Kitano and Kunitake Ando were at Sony adds up, and both of them did work in AI. There is some things to consider, and basically speaking, I do want to get into the last part of this, and that is, yeah, back to this whole thing. Let's share this for a second. This is, Rekimoto, the guy with QJIT, basically. Everything matches up. The smart skin, the sensor for freehand manipulation, interactive services, everything we've shown for many, many months, maybe over or a year now. And again, look at this, guys. Just to pound it home a little bit more. Rekimoto became professor of interfactuality initiative in the information studies at the University of Tokyo. And that same year, back in 2007, he founded QJIT, along with other 2 researchers from the CSL. And look where we're at with Sony. Sony CSL. Since 2011, Rekimoto has been a deputy director at Sony CSL. So again, everything lines up. QJIT working with Jasmy. This professor that we have, what's his name? It's hard to remember all these darn names. Professor Hiroki Kitano, his timeline with Sony, Kunitaki Ando, both were going to, I could talk your ear off about this, obviously. And if anything, I don't want to really talk your ear off anymore about it. This was a unique deep dive. Maybe it ain't pound home every single aspect, but again, you can connect the dots here. I think the next big, massive wave for Jasmy is when they get this whole AI blockchain thing going. Obviously, we're looking for the lockup. But don't let people flood you out of your Jasmy. If you made it this long, and if you're like me, you're in, some profits, like my profit margins anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000, depending on the recent market. Whether the course of crypto winter this long, you're trying to tell me that me, you, and everybody else can't weather a little bit longer? Stay the course. This thing is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's not a quick sprint race. You're literally competing in a, we call it like a super long decathlon or, really crazy marathon. You just gotta make it to that finish line. All right, there you go. So quite a bit to cover tonight, and I think I'm going to read the last bit of comments. I do appreciate everybody being here. I said it would be WrestleMania, ended up being WrestleMania. I can't believe it. All right. Anyway, last comment from Patrick Collier. Thank you very much. And if anything, we're going to close up shop. You guys have a great night. And I don't know if I'll be here with you guys tomorrow. We'll see what happens. So God bless you guys. If you have a good relationship with your parents, always love and tell your parents how much you love them, because you never know when the time is going to come. All right. Sayonara from the Rice Crop Consortium. Let's go. I will play the intro as an outro. Take it easy. Bye-bye. So that wasn't it.